Hey you, come, gather on the campfire, and welcome to the party. This is Party Chat, a JRPG podcast where we talk about everything that we love in the world of JRPGs and other Eastern titles. I am one of your hosts, Cameron Hawkins, and with me, as always, is my party partner, Kevin Kenson. Kevin, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good today. I'm doing well. You know, we just finished up SGF, at least like the physical in-person event itself, and now we're doing all the catch-up on talking about everything we've done and seen. And, you know, today we're talking a whole lot of news that we just haven't had a chance to talk on the pod yet because it happened over this past week. I'm looking forward to it. Before we dive into, I know we got our housekeeping and such still too, but before we talk about like all the news from the events, there is one random like outside piece of news I want to talk about because I just think this is really freaking cool. And I like the devs, so you know, nepotism. I don't know. Sabotage, the Sea of Stars folks. Did you see their announcement like right before SGF got going?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So they announced like, hey, Sea of Stars is done. We're releasing what's called the Sunset Edition, and that just means like we're done with the game. Like it is as complete as it's probably ever going to be. We added some new stuff, like some cinematics, cool. And then as part of that, they also announced that they were releasing a Switch 2 edition of the game. And honestly, the updates are kind of minute. You get like 1080p handheld support instead of 720, which you could already kind of force on Switch 2 using the dock mode thing. And you get like a little faster load times and stuff. It's just better optimized for the system. What's cool though, kind of crazy, but also cool, is I guess there was an issue with how, I don't know enough about like the logistics of the eShop's backend, but I guess something about the way the upgrade is listed is it was meant to be a free upgrade for like everybody, but it only works for digital Switch 1 owners. So not to accidentally give them even more work, but the Sabotage team has been very open and talked to people being like, hey, come on the Discord, message our community manager, like show that you have the game, and like, cool, we'll hook you up. Like, we'll make this work. And it's just like such a freaking bro move. And like, I've seen because I hang out in the Discord and I've like been seeing the messages throughout the day, and this man's inbox, I don't want to know what it looks like. His Discord DMs are probably absolutely destroyed. I think the server got something like 1,200 new members in the last 48 hours, and almost all of those I think are people asking, you know.
Probably.
Yeah, probably. But it's just a really cool thing. And like, I mean, these guys have always been very aggressive with like community building type stuff. Like they made the DLC free, they made the Switch 2 upgrade free. It's just cool stuff to see. And like, it's going to be a rough week for that guy, but you know, like that's just some cool audience support, I think, that I wanted to shout out.
That is super dope, and that is a really good thing to mention because that wasn't in the exact news cycle that we're going to be talking about throughout this episode,
for sure.
so.
I guess that's why I wanted to bring it up too, because it's kind of outside the like, it wasn't part of SGF, it wasn't part of a direct. They just kind of like dropped that on I think it was like yesterday actually that they like announced that. So it was just kind of out of the blue.
Yeah. Very cool. Outside of that, you know, we went to SGF. We got to record an episode, just going over the things that we have got to play during SGF that we can talk about. We'll have a few videos coming in the coming weeks regarding some games that were embargoed. So just keep an eye out on the feed for that. So, you know, we got this, not a JRPG, but still very cool. Got this sick control mug.
Oh, I haven't opened mine yet. I got to do that.
It's really cool. I wish it was a little bit bigger, but I'm not going to complain. And it's just like so on brand for Remedy that I love it. So wanted to shout that out really quick.
I don't mind a small coffee mug. I take so long drinking my coffee sometimes. It gets way too cold. So like, give me the small amount. I'll refill it. It's fine.
Oh, see, I down my tea. So it's just like, I want to use this more often, but it's also just like, it's kind of small. But yeah, so we're just going to get right into it because there's a lot of stuff to cover. We're going to get into the housekeeping. If you've been enjoying the show, please go to your podcast service of choice. Give us a 5-star review. It really helps us out. You can also go to youtube.com/@partychatjrpgpod and hit the subscribe button over there. Lastly, go to youtube.com/Kevin Kenson. hit the subscribe button over there. He's going to have a lot of coverage himself, so we know that he'll really appreciate it. And as we said before, like Discord in the description of the episode, if you want to hop in for free, as well as our Patreon and YouTube memberships for $5, you get the episode a day early in normal circumstances, but bonus monthly episode, as well as our book club podcast. Now we're going to get into the news. How we're going to roll this out is that this is news. This is the news episode. We're not going to be talking about what we've been playing because we haven't been playing anything because we've been at SGF. So that being said, we're going to talk about things that were announced at SGF. We're going to talk about things that were announced at Xbox. And then we're going to talk about things that were announced during today's, as of recording, today's Nintendo Direct. Kevin, you are the mastermind behind the whole list of announcements. So I'm going to pass the reins over to you.
Yeah, I got my lists. Okay, so I think, we'll kind of touch on everything very briefly, but absolutely we're just going to dive into the ones that are more directly relevant to our audience and our interests. SGF, first big opening announcement, and hell of a way to open the show. Resident Evil Code Veronica, or just simply Resident Evil Veronica is how they're calling this one. I had the thought that this was, usually the Resident Evil reveals, they try to tease out a little bit. And like the way they do it is just like it hard opens. It's depicting a scene that doesn't happen in the original game. But like, if you know the plot of it, you're definitely going to connect some dots right away where you're like, like it's a person looking for their brother in this other country. And wow, this sure looks like RE Engine footage. The way the lighting and texturing is and faces. And yeah, that's what it is. So damn excited. This was the next remake I've been hoping for a minute, at least from Capcom on their whole tear of Resident Evil remakes. There was a little fear for a bit that maybe it wasn't going to happen, but here we are.
Yeah, as you know, I'm not the biggest Resident Evil guy, and that's mainly due to Capcom's fault of putting giant spiders in like half of their games. But when the trailer was happening, I was just like, this is giving Resident Evil vibes from Go, right? And then when Claire reached for something and I saw the red on her jacket, and I was just like, oh, that this is definitely Code Veronica. And I'm not, again, all I know about Code Veronica is you play as Claire.
Yeah. Claire's the immediate protagonist at the start. Yeah,
exactly. So I was just like, oh, cool. Like this is actually happening. And I immediately thought of you. I was just like, I know that you're so happy about this. And I know that there's a very passionate fan base about Code Veronica specifically. So, yeah, that's awesome.
Yep. Good game. I think also like part of the reason why there's such a connection to it is because like it and Resident Evil 0 were like the last hurrah for that era of Resident Evil. Not that I don't have a ton of love for Resident Evil 4. Incredible game, but I think there is like a light bittersweetness to like that was also the pivot point into a more action focused series. And so I think Code Veronica and like has always held a special place in some people's hearts because it was like that was the last time we had it like that, Anyways, after that, Cuphead announcements. They got a 2D platformer spinoff that's like more retro aesthetic, and they are working on a proper direct sequel that uses the hand animations. It's just going to be way farther out because I don't know if you know this, hand drawing individual frames for a video game takes a lot of time. A lot of time.
And that was a very surprising announcement and really funny, like how they executed all that.
Yeah.
So, not going too far in that, but I just thought that was like one of the more memorable announcements of the show.
Yeah. Wouldn't be a Jeff show without puppets. And that was a perfect execution, I think. Alien Isolation 2, also not super relevant, except for the fact that it is published by Sega. It's developed by, I believe, a UK-based team, but, it's still Sega.
Creative
I'm
Assembly.
excited. Yeah, Creative Assembly.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. You made it sound like you didn't know who it was, so I was just like...
Oh, no, I know. I just forgot what country they were based in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, as someone who's an Alien fan, just real quick, love the franchise. I loved the first Isolation. I was hoping that it wouldn't be gone because, like, I know Creative Assembly has a lot of success with, like, the Total War games. not my cup of tea, just not my vibe. And so them like go into this again, incredible. Yeah, I think one of the coolest things, just worth shouting out about it real quick, we saw like actual like nature environments of being on an alien planet, whereas the first isolation was entirely on a spaceship. So there's a lot of potential there for like, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of things familiar to the first game, but I think that's going to be one of the ways it can help make itself distinct from it, where it's like, hey, you're like in the woods now and stuff. It's not just in tight, cramped spaceships.
Yeah, and I do want to like kind of just add on to that just very quickly. One, I think that I actually think there's going to be a lot of divisiveness behind that choice, because I know that like a lot of people like the claustrophobic vibes of what the original Alien Isolation offered, and now you're opening part of that game to like outside that, that definitely changes things.
Sure.
But in general, quite a wide variety of horror games announced at SGF, right? We got this, which we knew was a work in progress, right? We knew this was happening. We got this, we got Saw Genesis, we got The Lost Wild from Annapurna, which is a game that I played and I can talk about, that I thought was really cool. Not going too deep in it, but it was really interesting how they wanted you to like not make the dinosaurs seem as enemies, but more that you were just prey,
Yeah. I
and
was
and just the way that you save in that game, like there's like resources to saving, and you have to use like this console device on a wall, and you can be attacked while you're saving. Like very cool details that I appreciated.
Yeah, I forget who I was talking to. I think it was Tucker, and he brought up that thing about like, oh yeah, like they're wild animals, not monsters, but like you see them and it's still a big scary monster going to wreck you. And I was like, well, yeah, but I think there's still a bit of a difference. Like if you encountered an angry feral bear in the woods that came at you, you're gonna be scared, right? Like that's still monstrous to you in that moment, but there is a difference between that and like I don't know, a purpose-built horror monster that's just around to kill things. Yeah, super cool sounding. I also like that you were kind of lukewarm on that when we talked about it at the state of play, and I'm glad that like actually hands-on with it is making you a little more like, okay, I'm kind of seeing it.
Yeah.
Something definitely relevant to the Japanese dev side of things. Next announcement at SGF is Gen Atlas. Now that name alone, doesn't tell you much, but the important part is that this is the newest game from the creator of titles such as Eco, Shadow of the Colossus, Last Guardian, Ueda. This is his new game. And it's interesting that like you can definitely see some shared DNA with like Shadow of the Colossus in terms of like large, huge creatures and how like, platforming with those and interacting those and using them as kind of an environment. But also I feel like most of his past works have always been very kind of dreary fantasy, kind of ancient times kind of vibes. Whereas this is like post-apocalyptic sci-fi, like we're in everything's robots. It's definitely a bit of a different visual vibe, even though you can absolutely see the shared DNA from the same creator. I'm down. I had mixed feelings on Last Guardian, but I also think that was the situation where it was like cool idea, the tech just wasn't there yet, like they were just failed by what they could do at the time. And so I'll always take an interesting idea that fails over like safe bets that work. And so I'm totally down to see how this next one turns out.
Yeah, I think that game looked really cool. I definitely think it was one of the bigger announcements for the show. I think the most interesting thing, not about the game itself, but just one of just like how the platforms work is it's an Epic exclusive. It's an Epic Game Store exclusive. It's not going to be on Steam.
Well, they're publishing it. So
yeah, it's not going to be on Windows. So like, and there's a lot of controversy and like criticism behind the Epic Game Store, and like, this man has made multiple games that have significantly inspired like video game creators from the PS3 to now, and so like so I'm very curious to see like who's gonna ultimately, on the PC side of things, ultimately gonna show up for that game, despite it not being available on Steam.
Sure. I mean, I do think that franchise doesn't have a particularly strong PC history, but also there are plenty of people who grew up with PS2s that went on to get a PC later. And this has just been a recurring thing with anything Epic publishes, right? Like we had this whole song and dance with Alan Wake 2. And,
Yeah.
it's just time again for it, and maybe there's behind the scenes stuff, or maybe there's the ability and freedom to not be exclusive eventually, but they're certainly not going to air that anytime soon.
Absolutely not.
That as far as we all know, that is an Epic Store exclusive from now until forever, as far as PC goes. And if that changes, cool, but have to wait and see. Next up, we have Blood Message. This is coming from NetEase, I believe, or at least published by. I honestly don't actually remember a ton of this one off the top of my head. I have it in my notes. Do you have any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, so this is a like linear action adventure game, kind of all Uncharted. I think it's kind of like the best comparison I can really give for it. And it there's some admittedly some already discourse around this game. I don't know the exact details, as I am not like knowledgeable about the topic at hand, but there has been some discussion about the game kind of being a bit of a Chinese propaganda pull of sorts, where because in the game you fight Tibetans during the time where there's like this whole confrontation between the two parties, and it sounds like that this game is kind of putting it under a lens where the Chinese were wanting them to unify with China, when that is not what they actually were doing. And so it's one of those things where, like, I'm not saying that is factual. I'm not saying like I know for certain. That is just like what I've been hearing from people, and I just kind of want to bring that to light. So all I recommend is just doing some more of your own research about it. I know I'm going to do the same because we've been so busy. I just watched the Xbox Showcase before this because I didn't have time during SGF to watch it. Like, I'm catching up on things, but I did want to bring that to people's attention.
Gotcha. Well, speaking of controversies, we got another one back to back with this. Let's talk about Tupac. Tupac Shakur. Yep. So the next big announcement was Stranger Than Heaven, which I did not expect to see here. They had that dedicated Xbox presentation. I thought they were going to sit out. I figured, RG would still be around, but only to show off Virtua Fighter, which does happen later. Yeah. They come out, they talk about Stranger Than Heaven, and we get a brand new trailer, and the big reveal is, we're showing off some other actors that are joining on. We got Kuroda voicing a character again, even though it's not Kiryu. And by the way, Tupac. And this has led to a variety of reactions and thoughts and feelings. The vast majority of which I've witnessed, and at least like when speaking to people personally, pretty much negative across the board. I've seen some folks defending it online, a lot of keyboard warrior stuff going on, but it's a weird choice. Because look, this is not the only example of like what some folks call digital necromancy going on right now. Stranger Than Heaven already had one other actor they were doing it with, Sugawara. We're seeing it happen with Onimusha from Capcom, where they have a likeness based on Toshiro Mifune. And I think where this one gets kind of icky and weird is that, like, there's a degree of logic and connection and homage going on with those other two, right? Like, Toshiro Mifune played this character in movies named Musashi Miyamoto, which is the character that's going to be in Onimusha. He's a historical figure, and it's like, oh, that's our bridge connecting here. Like, we're going to use the likeness of a major actor who played this guy before. Sugawara was a very established, big-name actor in Yakuza films, the thing these games are about. And so there's that connection there. And the connection with Tupac is Snoop Dogg's in the game. And Snoop Dogg has connections with the estate, and like that's how this came about. And this is specifically like they absolutely like tie Snoop Dogg into this very heavily, because that's even how it's presented on stage. They bring Snoop Dogg out, he explains that like more or less through him is how Tupac is happening, and he's really excited about like using this. And I don't know, folks, this sure is a head scratcher in so many damn ways.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's a few things to talk about here. In general, I don't particularly like the idea of doing this. But then you're going to do it with one of the most controversial celebrity deaths of all time. Like, that is wild to me. And when it comes to the estate's not owned by his family, which is another huge issue in and of itself. And even with the hypothetical that his sister did own the estate for him, and she approved on it, I would still think it's weird.
Yeah.
So like all of these other layers to it, just to me, don't really matter. But like this is like one of the worst people that you could do this to, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I think that another part of it is that it sounds like that from the Stranger Than Heaven people team, whatever you want to say, PR, they've kind of been prepared for this type of response, and even then their answers, there's never really going to be a good answer to this.
Sure.
But even the answers that they have been giving are just like, okay, like I still don't think that's the right call, dog. Like,
yeah.
He's like, oh, there's, because again, the main argument is like, oh, his estate approved of it. Like his estate, right. Or it doesn't matter. And so, and also like, I'm just imagining like anyone specifically in the English voice acting community like auditioning for this job, getting it and being told, hey, you're gonna voice Tupac Shakur. Like, I am friends with a few people in the voice acting space, but like in my opinion, no one in good conscience is going to take that role. And if they are taking that role, it is because they're desperate. That's where I stand on it.
Yeah, someone's taken that role for it to be this far along. Like they're not doing but
whoever that person is, like, I think should be looked down upon. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's weird. It's dicey. I do love one like defense I saw some people trying to use that like Tupac loved Sega games. And it's like, okay, first off, even if that was somehow like if that was like part of his brand at the time, right? If it was like Tupac loves Sega and he's got Sonic stuff everywhere or something, I can tell you what, man never played Yakuza. That series launched 10 years later. It's such a bizarre, weird thing. And I also the big question I have too is like how this came about and whose idea was it, right? Is it like, is Yokoyama a huge fan and like that's why they hit up Snoop Dogg because they knew there was that connection there? Was this something where they contacted Snoop Dogg first and then he brought it up as like a plus or as something? I think one like conspiracy theory thing I've heard a few people bring up, and this is not based on any real, other than just looking at surrounding context. I've seen a few people bring up the idea that maybe this was a Snoop Dogg thing in terms of helping to push and establish his brand in video games, because that's even what happened with this presentation. Is they bring Snoop Dogg out to talk about getting Tupac in Stranger Than Heaven, and then it pivots into Jeff talking to Snoop Dogg about like his studio and the stuff that he's going to be doing real soon in the near future. And that's
a whole nother thing, dude. Like, Jeff, what the fuck? Like, Jeff, you had to have known, you'd had to have seen this and been like,
oh, I mean, yeah, this was they practiced this. There's recital, like whatever you want to call it. Like,
oh my god, like if I was Jeff and I saw that in rehearsal, I would just like I would be like, oh fuck, under my breath or something. Like, oh bad. This is
I mean, this is not the first thing that Jeff has probably helped practice that he didn't mutter under his breath that way. You know, if he did feel worried about this, or maybe he's chill with it. I don't know.
Yeah, and like I was in the room of the showcase, and dude, people were cheering, people were applauding, and I'm looking around like, why are y'all clapping at that? That is not something to clap to.
It's yeah. I don't want us to go on this tangent too long. But I think
enough. We've said enough.
The official party chat stamp on this is like, nope, don't like it. And it's, especially coming from my last point on this will simply be, I was so excited for this game leading up to this announcement, where I was like, man, RG's been doing a lot of moves I don't like, and so far this game's actually really shaping up. I like what I'm seeing. I think we got ourselves one that's like gonna be like controversy free this time, and bam, stepped right in it the hardest possible. Not saying the rest of the game can't be great and there isn't other cool stuff they're doing with it, but boy, did you just put a thing in there that's gonna make the whole experience just have me go, I don't. Why
did you do that?
I don't know. Why we? Yeah. All right, moving on. We're done on that. I don't know how to pronounce this right. Hakes. This was one of the more ominous trailers that we got. HAEX.
I think it's called Hex.
Hex? Is it Hex pronounced? Okay, yeah. Not particularly relevant to us. I mean, do you have any deep thoughts on this one?
Nope.
Cool. Moving on. Dead by Daylight stuff.
10th year anniversary stuff. Yeah.
Yep. Black Flag Resynced. Yeah, that's
I love Assassin's Creed. I'm gonna play it for sure.
Yeah. Same, yeah. Here's a very surprising one that I did not see coming. So before the show started, there was talk of like Paramount was establishing their own like publisher.
Yes.
And we were like, oh, okay, Paramount's doing like a publishing wing, and what does that actually mean? And like, what would it be? And right off the bat, there's like 3 big properties that Paramount's going to make stuff for. There's the 3 that like whenever it comes to Paramount collaborations, you got your Avatars, you got your TMNT, and you got your SpongeBob's. And the particular winner for this one, and your Star Treks. That's true. I always forget. I'm always lumping the cartoons together. And the winner for this particular debut is TMNT. In a admittedly kind of cool collaborative concept that I never would have expected. Platinum Games making The Last Ronin.
Yes.
Not a trailer that tells us much. It's basically a concept pitch. It's the name, it's the studio. We move on. But that's potentially sick as all hell. I like me a Platinum game.
Yeah, and to be clear, we've known for a while that a Last Ronin game was in the works. We just didn't know who was going to be developing it. We didn't know any of that or the other. So, but when it was like Platinum, I was just like, oh my god, this game is going to be so sick. And I think that initially I was kind of thinking of the idea of like, being like a 4-player like Ninja Turtle Platinum game, like that would have been really, really cool. The Last Ronin is still super dope, and I'm equally as interested. And so we'll see what moves Michelangelo's got for us. Spoilers, but Michelangelo's The Last Ronin.
Yeah, I think that's somewhat common knowledge now. I don't know. Cam's always dropping spoilers on this podcast.
Am I?
More than me.
Oh, definitely. That's totally true.
Yeah. Next up, Gundam Rogue Orbit. This is another game I didn't really, I didn't have on a checklist. I mean, Gundam, you get lots of properties all the time, but this, looks a bit of a different tone from a lot of the other ones we've gotten. It has very heavy, I would almost say like Armored Core vibes. A bit scrappier kind of looking compared to a lot of other Gundam stuff we've seen. And looks cool. I don't think we really got any actual like this was another like pitch style trailer. We didn't really see like actual gameplay in action, but it sounds like a neat concept. I like Gundam. I like mechs. Big robots do something to my brain.
Yeah, I mean Gundam. There are those sickos, that love their Gundam and their mech games. So happy for them.
That was Cam has no direct input on this. Crossfire. Well, I'm gonna give Crossfire a little bit of time because it's not relevant to our podcast directly, but it is relevant to. We got a staff member who works on this, who's a listener. Mitch. Mitch works on this game.
Yeah, this is from That's No Moon, which is a collaboration of multiple like veteran devs from notable studios. And initially, you know, for the longest time, admittedly, I thought this was going to be a really cool like single player, like kind of PlayStation first party type game,
the third person action adventure narrative experience.
I thought it was going to be something like that. But no, we got Crossfire, which is super interesting, a big risk as well, slapping that name on there, especially after the most recent Crossfire game that was in collaboration with Remedy that was not great.
I do wonder how much that's in like the average Western gamer's brain, though, because I've even talked to a few people now who are like, I don't know what that is. Like, I don't know what Crossfire is.
That wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
But then on top of that, just like the adaptive like cover system that they're calling it, and how the characters move, like I love shooters, you know what I mean? Like obviously JRPGs and like RPGs in general are my favorite, but I love me a good shooter. And so I'm definitely interested in this. It looks really great. And you know, they're going to try and tell a story here, and so I'm very interested in that. I'm also interested, I don't know if they confirmed if it's 2-player co-op.
No, I have not heard that anywhere. As far as I know, it is a single player purely experience, because that's even been the main word they've been pushing with every like the establishment of the studio, and like their kind of key phrase around launch is like they care about the single player narrative experience, which I will say I did actually get to see behind closed door more gameplay for this one. I don't really know any more on the story than anyone else does as far as like the trailers go. But, you know, seeing the gameplay in action, look, I'm not a big, like, grounded guy. Like, I don't love, like, super hyper-realistic stuff. But I love me stealth-focused gameplay. Like, I'm way more into, like, stealth-focused than I am, like, pure shoot-'em-up. I mean, you know, depending. But this is really leaning into that kind of, like, tactical stealth focus in a way that makes my brain happy. So, yeah, I'm very interested in seeing more of this one. That's good there. Control Resonant, which we saw. How many times total have we seen Control Resonant in the past week? Was it only twice, or was it three times?
Twice, yeah, just twice.
Okay. Yeah, because it showed up at the PlayStation State of Play, and then it was at SGF again, and it's like, cool. We're hitting the just release it point for this one, right? It's like, we've seen it a bunch now, like, release it.
Yeah.
One of the surprises from the show, Guild Wars 3. I was never like a huge Guild Wars guy. I did play them a little bit, but just MMOs in general have never been my jam. Do you have a lot of experience with that franchise by any chance?
No, but I know that people do really love Guild Wars 2. I think you know, we don't really hear much about it in our spaces just because Final Fantasy 14 is so popular. But I remember when Guild Wars 2 came out, people were very high on it, and I'm sure, like, considering there's a Guild Wars 3 coming out, surely it was successful enough where they were making a new one, and I'm expecting good things from it.
Yeah, another one for my brain specifically. We'll go by quick because this isn't really for our audience, but Star Wars Galactic Racer. I love me an Arcadia Racer. We saw some more of it in action. We did get a release date for it, which is October 6th. I'm super excited for this game. I know there's some other folks who are probably very looking forward to it. Yeah, need that to come out soon. And thankfully, it's like a little after the big rush in September. September's gonna suck. There's so many games. Cam, there's so many games. What are we gonna do?
I don't know.
Yeah,
and
because I haven't.
We're already near halfway to June, and I'm just like, there's like 4 or 5 games I want to finish that I haven't, you know, that I'm like partway through, and then September there's Trails, there's we're gonna get to it Fire Emblem now on the same day, on the same fucking day, dude.
Yeah, we haven't been talking release dates much so far, but like multiple of these games are in September. Like Control Resonant is the September 24th drop. Everyone's avoiding the tentative GTA November release, but then no one decided to go like super early. So like July and August are pretty dead. There's not a ton going on those months. And then September, especially at like the midpoint, like September 17th, like the next 3 weeks after that, bloodbath. Just a ton of stuff all releasing at once. Some of them are gonna move. Like I refuse to believe that none of these devs are going to decide to like strategically push back. Because like I get that GTA 6 is a threat, it's going to do numbers, but man, I feel like going up against one game is better than going up against 27. You know, if we're talking money investment wise. Anyways, all right, moving on. End of Abyss, cool little isometric looking kind of survival horror game, sci-fi. Neat.
Okay. Yeah.
Virtua Fighter Crossroads. This was RGG coming back out and revealing the official name for what was kind of tentatively just called Virtua Fighter 6. So they reveal kind of like the story elements to this one, that there is going to be like a story campaign tied into it, which makes sense when you've got like RGG on board making the game. Like that's what they do. Mm-hmm. So like that's looking really good to me. I mean, I do you have any opinions on Virtua Fighter?
It looks cool. It looks like that they're, I'm not a big, I like fighting games. I'm just not a big Virtua Fighter guy.
Sure.
But it seems like that they're trying to put a bit more of a campaign into this one, a bit more of a story compared to previous Virtua Fighters. I could be completely eating crow there. And
that is definitely a new focus for this one. Like,
okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't have the knowledge.
This kind of story, at least, like it looks like a very full-fledged, like proper narrative story mode. It's not just like matches with like dialogue between.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and RGG, like, out of what like the teams that Sega has, it does make the most sense for them to be the ones to do one. And hopefully we'll get some like cool collabs like Kiryu or Majima as like bonus, like, as like future characters. So yeah, it looks cool.
Nice. RuneScape Dragon Wilds. This is a game that showed up at like every presentation. Cool. Soulframe. I think you have more on this than I do. Yeah, I don't really know. I've never really messed with Warframe, but I think I heard you mentioning some interest in Soulframe.
Yeah, so Soulframe is from the same people that make Warframe, and it's supposed to be a more like fantasy-based. I wouldn't go to as far to say as like a Souls-like.
Sure. Soul is in the name, but that's just a coincidence, yeah.
but I think just like Warframe feels a bit more just like shooter based experience, while this one is more swords, like those kind of weapons, and that just kind of appeals to me more than what Warframe is like offers. That being said, like the more like as time has gone on, I've had more interest in going back or like giving Warframe a shot as well. But yeah, it's it's been in like not early access, but kind of like a alpha stage that's open to players. Not open to players, you need to get like a code for it, but that players have been playing for a while. And yeah, it's something that I'm definitely interested in checking out at some point.
Cool. Grounded 2, got another look at that. As a big fan of Obsidian, I'm happy this game makes money for them. I think it's been like their most successful title in terms of raw sales, so cool. I'm definitely more excited for whatever their next announcement is, because I like their RPGs.
Couldn't agree with you more.
Mafia Old Country getting an expansion. Neato. 16.6 Amsterdam, coming from one of the folks who worked on Assassin's Creed.
Assassin's Creed creator.
Original. Yep.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But
go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, but this one is definitely like, because like I know there was talk of like we were getting an Assassin's Creed Hex game before, but this is like, no, there are witches. Like there is black magic happening in this game. There's cats, there's weird powers. With the trailer didn't give us full context, but yeah, it's witchcraft.
Yeah, it looks super cool from what they showed us. The only thing that's like a little mind-boggling is that it's going to be an early access title. I don't know if that's the right move particularly, but it felt very Assassin's Creed just watching it. So you can see that DNA very clearly.
I think early access gets a little bit of a bad rap. It's very easy to do wrong, to be fair, but like I think there are some great examples of when it's done right.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, I think, there's absolutely those cases like, Hades and Baldur's Gate 3 where it's like, oh, they did this right. I would hope, I want to give them that grace right now of like, they might they might have the right idea. They might know what they're doing and how they want to iterate. Because early feedback can be huge.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Saw Genesis. Bloober Team's making a multiplayer game. I'm not big on Saw, and I'm not big on multiplayer, so like, cool, but neat. You a Saw fan?
Nope.
Nope. All right. Lords of Fallen 2. This is one we've been hearing about like a little bit here and there. Got a new trailer for it.
This actually looked pretty sick. This was a pretty sick trailer. Again, I'm not a huge Souls-like guy, but like, it was doing something for me. I know that like there's some BS with the director saying stupid stuff, unfortunately.
Yeah,
but,
the director has made a lot of enemies, I think, in media spaces at least. But yeah,
but it is something that I'm gonna like. It's one of those games where like I'm actually gonna go out of my ways and look at reviews for, if that makes sense. Because when other reviews come out, it's just like, oh, cool, like you see it just kind of naturally, and it's just kind of, you don't really think much of it. This is a game where I'm actually going to go out of my way and be like, all right, let's see like how this reviewed.
What is this?
And and that type of thing.
Yeah. Another Star Wars game, Zero Company. We knew about this before, but this is the first time we actually saw it like extensively. Easiest way to sum this up: Star Wars XCOM game,
and I love it.
And it looks exactly like what it sounds, and I'm down. For those who are Star Wars nerds, this is during like kind of the Clone Wars era, so we're leading into that particular point in time, which I think is a perfect fit for it. I don't think this idea works as well in some of the other eras, because those are a bit more kind of like rebellion focused. I think this being like a strike team in the middle of just a major war really fits the vibe real well.
And just to clear some things up, just in case people are making any assumptions here, this game is not being developed by FireXis.
Yes, it is not. Yeah.
Because they're the ones that are known for making XCOM and the incredibly underrated, incredibly underplayed Marvel Midnight Suns that everyone listening to this podcast should play. It's being developed by Bit Reactor, which I believe is their first game, as well as support with Respawn Entertainment. So definitely likely going to be a banger. What next, Kev?
We got another look at Blood of the Dawnwalker, which I think this is the first like really extensive trailer we've seen. Like, this game's been talked about for a little while now, but this was like a meteor trailer. For those that don't know, this is basically the new not Witcher game, coming from one of the devs who worked on Witcher 3. Vampire theme going on with it. It looks potentially really cool. I'm down. I like Choice and Consequence. I like weird dark fantasy.
I do think we've seen a proper trailer from it before. I don't remember when it was, but I think we've seen some stuff before. But regardless, like, yeah, this game looks sick. It's a game I definitely want to check out at some point. But, too many games.
Too many games. Next up, Monster Hunter Wilds DLC. We're getting the first big expansion, Ascendance. It looks like the concept with this one is that we are literally going up into the skies. There's like floating islands and all kinds of crazy stuff there. I'm not a huge Monster Hunter guy. I know Wilds didn't really hit for everyone, but I love this concept. I've always been a sucker for like weird Sky Island stuff, so that did stuff for my brain. But I got a lot of catching up to do if I'm going to get ready for that.
Yeah, I think I think this expansion needs to be where Capcom like flips a switch and shifts the balancing of the fundamentals of this game, because a big thing where like Monster Hunter Wilds wasn't particularly like a bad made game, but it was too streamlined, right? It was too directed to beginner friendly play. A lot of the monster fights were particularly pretty easy compared to like World, where it felt like that there was a bit more of a back and forth. And I think that is ultimately the problem with Monster Hunter Wilds. And I don't think that just, like knowing that there's an expansion, that doesn't have me interested in coming back. That doesn't, like, there are fundamental changes that need to be made. And if they decide to make those changes alongside the release of Ascendance, then that's great. That's something that will definitely make me more interested in returning. But if not, then it's like, okay, for those that are interested in hopping into that, that's cool. I'm gonna sit that one out.
Yeah, I mean, if there is any good time to do a major overhaul of your core mechanics, an expansion release certainly is good timing, right? You do that as the combo of like, hey, if there were things about this game that threw you off, here's what we're changing right now. That's a reason to come back. And by the way, there's an expansion out now that also has new content.
Yeah.
So that way, folks who have already kind of played through the loop and know they didn't like how it worked out, they have new content to play and can play with the new mechanics if that's what they end up doing. We don't know that. We just know they have this expansion coming out. So,
yeah,
yep.
CD Projekt Red did that with Phantom Liberty. So
yeah, no, exactly. They did a huge overhaul on Cyberpunk after it had already gotten through extensive patches, but then they reworked a lot of the core systems with the DLC for the base game as well. But the DLC was when they timed to do that. Swords of Legends. This is a new game coming from, I believe, a new studio called Oregon Shanghai. This looks like a Souls-like inspired action RPG game to me. Honestly, this one didn't really do a whole lot for me. I know a couple people who kind of dug it, but this did not do a lot for me. Cam, did you have any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now because I honestly didn't remember it, and yeah,
which might be telling.
Yeah, it looks like what you already said, that it's very like roguelike inspired and like not roguelike, Souls-like inspired,
Yeah.
And like ultimately for me, it depends on what that gameplay looks like in a minute-to-minute scenario.
Longer form, yeah.
So it's something that I'm not just like counting out completely, but it's not something that I'm ultimately going to be tracking.
Yeah, I got their Steam page open, and the blurb here even is pretty straightforward. It sounds how you would expect. Swords and Legends is a single-player action-adventure RPG set in the Primordial Age, a world drawn from the strange tales of classical Chinese literature, where mortals, gods, and wandering souls walk the same earth. And it's like, yeah, that kind of has like Souls-like action vibes to me. And maybe this one's going to do some really cool stuff to set it apart. I just personally didn't get that from this initial trailer. But you and I have both not been shy about our fatigue with that genre and approach in general. So,
and you're a fan of the
I'm a fan of FromSoft
fan.
Yeah.
You're a FromSoft fan.
Yeah, I think I gave that explanation to a few people at SGF this year. Where it's like, look, man, I love FromSoft Souls games. I don't actually like the direction most other people take Souls.
What about where do you stand at with Liza P?
Liza P is good. I do think Liza P is very good. Cool. That's probably my favorite.
That's the one I think that's like really good.
There's a lot of people who also have a lot of love for Neo, and I personally don't. And it's not because I think Neo is bad. I think it's just a game that took all the wrong aspects of what they consider Souls-like, and I'm just like, this takes away the things I actually care about personally. Like, it's very combat-centric, where I'm like, yeah, combat's cool, but Dark Souls to me is more a game about exploration, actually. Anyways, Hot Wheels Infinite Rush, new Hot Wheels game. Attack on Titan being made by Omega Force, the Muso folks.
Yeah, so initially I thought that this was an original thing, but this is not like a new thing. It's not a new thing.
What do you mean it's not a new thing?
Like, there have been previous Attack on Titan games, and it's also been made by those same folks.
Oh, really?
Yes. I'll double check.
Yeah, because
really
I know part of the pitch with this is that it's like, oh, this is covering the entire series. Like, we are doing start to finish. And so maybe it's the thing they have made previous ones, but like they only adapted up to a certain point in source material because the source material was still going. Part of the pitch when this was announced was like, hey, like the entirety of the Attack on Titan like story is being adapted here.
Yeah, so I'm looking at Steam right now, and the first two, it just says Koei Tecmo Games.
Which, that's the parent company.
Developer. And it says the same thing with 3. So I'm assuming Omega Force did all of them. And like, the first two I've heard are like kind of fine. But because initially I also thought it was new, and I was just like, oh my god, this is going to be incredible. But then I saw Attack on Titan 3, and I'm like, oh, it's from that same series. That were apparently like not super great games, so I don't.
Clutch, car game, Chronicles Medieval, grounded, realistic medieval history game, combat, cool. Sea of Remnants, you played this one a tiny bit on the campus, because I was confused about this game initially. I thought this was some kind of like MMO or like party-based thing, or like online friend co-op thing. And actually it's like a turn-based gacha, right?
Yeah, it's a gacha game, and that really, took the wind out of my sails once I sat down and started playing it proper. But it's still like, it's not a bad game.
Sure.
It has what it needs to have for a gacha game of that kind of caliber, and like, it's cool that, like, I like that in general, as someone who has appreciated a gacha game in the past, that there is this like ongoing competition for attention, right? Like Wuthering Waves, one of the announcements that we'll get to eventually, they did a collaboration with Cyberpunk Edge Runners where you can get Lucy and Rebecca as characters, and like, I think that's super cool. And then, like, Honkai Star Rail earlier this year did a collaboration with the Fate series. So there are these cool collaborations, and there are these different ways to grab people's attention. And this one does stand out. Like I said before, on our episode where we talk about everything that we played that we can talk about. It has a very distinct art style. It's like this kind of puppetry, wooden puppets, pirate approach, and it's nothing like anything else I've seen in the genre, and so maybe that'll attract people. But outside that, I don't have much more to say.
Yeah, I think visually it's very engaging. The idea of gacha, not to say that gacha is an immediate turnoff, but more that it is an immediate context that is very important. Because, as you said, people only have time for so many gachas. An extremely important element is how their like gacha elements are handled, what the pull rates are like, what the investment is potentially for you as a player. There's a lot that goes into that complicates feelings immediately. I'm glad you brought up Wuwa, because I actually forgot to write that down. That might have actually already passed in the presentation by this point. But yeah, that was the other gacha game that showed up, primarily just showing off that they're doing a Cyberpunk collab. We knew about this already before, but this was like a big kind of reveal of it more extensively.
And in general, shout out to Jeff for seemingly listening to people in reaction to last year's showcase, because there
two
were
gacha.
Yeah, two gacha, two Souls likes, maybe a third, like, and it just, it felt like that there was a really great variety.
Much better variety this year. Yeah, I was joking, I think, before we got to this presentation that, like, oh man, you ready for 70% gacha and Souls-like? And it wasn't at all. And absolutely credit to where it is. I even thought we only had one gacha until I found out Sea of Remnants was one. I thought Wuwa was the only one for a bit, but here we are. Pal World 1.0 is coming. That I know so little about Pal World. I have not played it actively. I didn't even realize it's been in early access this entire time. Yeah,
if you told me that it was already in 1.0, I would have believed you. So
Yep. So 1.0 is coming, folks. The moment I texted Cam, "I'm happy for you," is when we got this trailer for The Wolf Among Us 2. Happening in sometime in 2027. It is not dead. It is back, and there's a trailer.
Not a JRPG, but The Wolf Among Us, the first game, is one of my favorite games of all time. I think it is the best Telltale game. It has one of my, if not my favorite ending to a video game from a narrative standpoint. This is an incredible game, guys, and there's a remaster coming out. I think everyone should play it. Like, this is a game that everyone should play. So very happy about that.
Stellar Blade Shift Up showed up and announced a new Stellar Blade called Stellar Blade Blood Rain. They're not calling it 2, but it is effectively 2. And to bring up controversies again, this one, there's been a bit of heavy debate about the potentiality that this trailer had a whole lot of generative AI going on. Probably not like, start to finish, it's pure Gen AI, but a lot of Gen AI assets and parts and scenes. This has not been like 100% proven. Shift Up has not commented on it as far as I'm aware just yet to confirm or deny, but there's a whole lot of scenes and promo art where you kind of look at it and you go, yeah, that kind of looks like maybe, because there's a lot of fine detail stuff that gets really weird when you're really paying attention.
That wasn't even what I was going to mention. And I didn't even know that was a thing. So
yeah,
glad
that's another thing with it.
Yeah, put that to my attention.
What's your attention on that? What was your thought on this one?
The the fact that this character looks like a child.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's just that art direction for
but like that is also a problem in and of itself. It's one of those things where like, hey, like, you know, at least with Eve in Stellar Blade, right? Hot
Eve
girl.
looks like a fully adult woman.
Yeah,
yes.
hot girl, hot woman.
Yeah,
you know, great. You are.
Yeah,
it is clear what you're doing, and that's fine.
Whereas the new protagonist,
this one
Evie,
is like Evie, is smaller. She has a very young face, but she's apparently like in her like around 23, 24 years old.
Yeah.
And it's just like, guys.
Yeah. And I mean, this gets into weird, unrealistic qualities and standards for beauty and cultural things. And yeah, it's messy.
Yeah. And it's like
messy.
Because, yeah, I was just like, wait, this, because at first, like, when I first saw the trailer, I was just like, is this a new Shift Up game?
Oh yeah,
but because I didn't think it was like going to be a new Stellar Blade because she looked so young. That was the reason why I was like, oh, this can't be Stellar Blade. And then the actual action stuff starts, and I'm like, oh my god, is this a new Stellar Blade game? And it was, and I'm like, oh, that's really weird. I think that was a very weird choice.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I just, I wanted to bring that up.
Yep. So yeah, multiple controversies kind of surrounding this one a little bit. The action combat looks kind of cool, if any of it is actually real. But yeah, that's a whole other. I feel like there's going to be a couple conversations about this one down the line as we learn more about it, and we'll see how that shapes over time. Okay, we're getting to the end now of SGF, where we got two big announcements back to back that are lightly related, primarily through a character. Street Fighter 6 announced their Season 4 of character DLC, which was very surprising in a couple different ways, because this leaked earlier this year, maybe because the leak that went around was wrong, except for one very specific important detail. The leak was like, hey, it's like going to be these four characters. It's these three like returning characters from other Street Fighter Capcom properties, and we're going to get Tifa. And everyone was like, that's kind of crazy. I don't know if I believe that. And then here comes this trailer where we get three brand new characters. They are not returning fighters. They're all original ones. One of them is in the campaign for Street Fighter 6, but now he's like a proper fighter. And then there's Tifa. Like, that part was right, whether by accident or misdirection or who knows, but Tifa is really coming to Street Fighter, and I don't know if I'll ever forgive Tekken for fumbling so hard. Because look, as excited as I am for this, I 100% am of the opinion, and I even prefer Street Fighter, I feel like Tifa makes more sense in Tekken. But here we are, and I'll take it. I love me some Street Fighter, I love me some Tifa, let's go.
I agree with everything you said. Like Street Fighter is like my go-to fighting game if you don't count Smash Bros. And I thought Tifa was meant to be in Tekken, and the fact that she's in Street Fighter instead, just like, it feels wrong still. It still feels wrong, but also, boy, am I picking back up Street Fighter.
Hell yeah, hell yeah, hell yeah. And then the final closer reveal, after showing off Tifa coming to Street Fighter, because it also was a very concept thing. We didn't have actual gameplay for her yet. It's way too early for that. But the big closer, final reveal, the thing that everyone kind of assumed was going to happen at this show, but it was still great to see it validated and happen. We got ourselves Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3, officially titled Final Fantasy VII Revelation. And hot damn, y'all, am I excited for this game. I have some light worries and reservations, but my hype so heavily outweighs that right now. Where do we even begin with this, Cam? What do you want to talk about on this one?
Man, I want to first off say that, like, they went over a lot in this game already.
Yeah.
Like, just as a go-to, very in-depth. They showed us a trailer, and then they were like, okay, here's another trailer.
Yeah, it was like 3.5 trailers total.
yeah, it was like a 15 to 20 minute segment of just Final Fantasy VII Revelation. and we learned a lot, right? We got to see Sid and Vincent in action. We got to see the high wind. We got to see like how the high wind stuff works. You're parachuting off of the high wind to go to different locations. Um, the big thing, because they teased this in the trailer, it sounds like as at a certain point in the story, and we've learned some things from Hamaguchi since the trailer, which will we'll get to that as well when it's relevant. That the gang's splitting up. The gang's going to be going on the games are going to split up into different teams, and they're trying to defeat these weapons because they need to defeat the weapons to be able to stop the meteor. And it seems like that this is a game that just starts from go, right? Like it very early on, it's like, oh, there's the meteor. You see it in the air, you see it in the sky, it's coming. And obviously there are certain things that we still need to happen, right? Like where we need to do like a lot of the snow area stuff where Cloud's in the wheelchair and he's like you're basically
Tripping
learning a lot of the truth behind what's Cloud's
His
experiences actually were. And they show a little bit, they tease a little bit of that in the trailer. Like the first time that they jump off the high wind, Cloud's not there. And so I think that that's the point where like Cloud is just like not available. Now, one of the things I really am curious about, because I think that this has been an interesting thing for each title, is the structure of these games. Sure. Where with remake was linear, right? Yeah. It was a very linear experience, while Rebirth was still linear, but in a region sense, where you had like a giant region to go to and explore, go forward, giant region to explore. You could still go backwards, but like, it wasn't like open world in the traditional sense. Now in this one, it very much seems a lot more open world. But from what we know, from what Hamaguchi has said, that is for the first half of the game.
Yeah. It seems like there's a non-linear element of like, there's things happening in multiple places of the world, and you kind of tackle those in the order you want.
Yes.
So there's like Wu Tai. We know that Rocket Town is going to be a part of the game, but apparently it's going to be later in the game. And so there's a bunch of different things about the structure that I'm very curious about, because one of the things I didn't particularly like about Rebirth was like, once you get to the City of the Ancients, it's like, all right, you're on wheels, you're on rails until you roll credits.
Yeah. Very FF15 moment once you like get on the train, basically.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's very FF15 coded, and I think that this is going to be a bit of a similar experience. Like, obviously, it's going to be still a big open world to explore, and there's like a lot of cool things that I'm sure we're going to experience there. But if it's knowing that, like, oh, hey, is the halfway point like y'all parachuting into Midgar, right?
Is that the point of no return?
Is that the point of no return where where that happens, and then you are doing all the stuff that eventually leads to Sephiroth? Like, what is that going to look like in a real way? Are the things that I'm kind of curious about. But despite how much they've shown, it was also, they showed a lot of things that we like already knew about, right? Or we've already experienced to a certain extent in Rebirth. And so I'm very curious to see how things will expand once we learn more about Revelation, because it's coming out spring 2027, probably March. I would put my money on that one, and I'm excited. I'm very excited to see how this all finishes up. What about you, Kev?
Yeah, I mean, I think you touched on a lot of points. I will say personally, like, I'm kind of down if the halfway point ends up being like a now we're on wheels a little bit, because I mean, we've talked about this before. I liked that about Remake. Like, I did not mind the linearity of it.
Yeah.
And no, I understand. There's a slight difference because it's like, will I still be able to do certain side task things? How is that balanced with like optional content? There's a lot of different questions about the exact like execution of it. But I do also think it's a really cool idea to do the party split for the more nonlinear section, because that also, I think one of the things that Remake did really well that Rebirth fumbled a little bit on, and it wasn't like a big issue, but like Remake really made every party member feel important at moments, because you were always you weren't in control of like the composition. And then Rebirth was like everyone's together, but also half your party's hanging out in the background just kind of cheering and doing occasional ranged attacks. And so this is a moment where it's like, hey, we're splitting up, every party is involving every party member, they're all getting moments where it's like, that's, you need to like use these characters, probably throw some challenges that are specific to like let their abilities shine. I think there's a lot of potential there. The one thing you didn't bring up though that I
remembered
hype.
And I was gonna ask you about
hype.
Okay.
We got fits, baby. So they're added this thing called the fit system, which is effectively dress spheres from Final Fantasy X-2, which is effectively we're getting classes. Characters have outfits they can put on that are basically just traditional Final Fantasy classes. And at least based on the way they're pitching it, it's not like a heavy overhaul of their core abilities, but it is leaning them in a direction. And so we only saw 2 during the trailer. We saw Cloud with a warrior fit where he was wearing this kind of like tech training suit thing. It looked very soldier coded. And then Tifa had this like kind of remix on her traditional outfit that was, it had like these sleeves and a little different vibe going on. That was for Black Mage, and it emphasized her using offensive magic while in that mode. I'm a sucker for class systems. I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff. I like the idea that we're getting alternate outfits, but they also mean something for characters. 100% my shit. Like, I think, one of the things with this game is like, how is it evolving past the past ones? And I think it's hard to add more to the action combat, because I think honestly Rebirth really found the right notes for that. And we're going to see expansion in the sense of like, sure, more synergies, more whatever kinds of special attacks characters get. But I think the fit system is the real way that they're trying to like add a new layer to the game's combat. And instead of it being an in-combat thing, it's a, it's your set, it's your loadout.
Yeah, I was actually curious on how you were going to feel about this, because I know that you like jobs, but my thought process was just like, that's kind of the point of materia. And I think that them adding this part of it just kind of makes materia feel, and granted, they did rework materia in ways in the remake, right? Where like,
yeah, certain
materia like more give like specific abilities and things like that, but I still something about the way of like the old way materia worked, where it's like, hey, like Tifa's obviously a brawler, but if you wanted to make her a mage person, you can do that if you equip her the right materia. And now I think that this kind of takes away from that a little bit. I'm not saying completely, but I just think that's like, I'm curious as to what that will look like in a real way. Because just like knowing me, I don't see myself really engaging with that, because I like the original aspects of that, but it's something that once we get a bit more of a deep dive on that, I may change my opinion.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to wait on for that in terms of the exact execution, right? Because like, we don't know, does everyone have access to the same classes? Is it a specific list for each character? Is there a reason or a benefit to like not using one of the fits, where maybe the materia shines a little more? Like, because again, like, Tifa has one that's for Black Mage, and so maybe that hyper focuses her on magic, and so you're going to lean into offensive magic, but you lose some of the well-roundedness that you would get from like not having that class, and so there's a reason to not use one maybe. There's a lot we don't know about the exact ins and outs of how it works. I think on a basic level, the concept really appeals to my brain. And I get where you're coming from on how that kind of clashes a little bit with materia. To be honest, that was one of the things about materia I never really loved that much, because I think it failed to let each character have more uniqueness about them that shined. It kind of let you just use whatever party you wanted, because ultimately all that mattered was their materia loadouts, outside of like leaning into limit breaks. But yeah, I'm very interested in seeing how this actually shakes out in like full implementation.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so that does it for Jeff Keighley's Jeffapalooza for 2026. Moving on, Xbox.
Xbox.
Xbox. Okay. So for Xbox, they had their big showcase on Sunday. I will say just a kind of a general kind of thing. I think overall, real strong showing. There's definitely an emphasis on trying to be like, we're all about exclusives again. I'm going to say the same thing I've said for every Xbox showcase the last 5 years, which is this all sounded great. Let's see the execution in the next year. Because that has been kind of the continue. I think Xbox really figured out showcases in the last like 3 or 4 years, but we just got to see the delivery in the next year. But let's talk about what they showed. The big focus, which was like the extra showcase, as well as what they hard opened their main showcase with, is Gears of War E-Day. I really loved Gears of War back in the day. I like me a co-op cover shooter. It's especially something that's meaningful to me in the sense of like, I want to play this with someone. I just think that game really shines in a 2-player co-op scenario. And this does look cool. I don't know if I want this more than a proper 6, but like, it feels good here in Marcus.
Yeah, I absolutely would rather have a Gear 6 over E-Day, but
yeah,
it's cool. I'm definitely going to play it. I love Gears of War. It's one of my favorite shooters ever. So, and it was a really great show of before the Emergence War happened and everything like that. So,
oh yeah, like seeing society, right? Like actual civilization, and it's not just in ruins. That is a really neat aspect of it. Yeah, absolutely. And I will say, even though it does feel like Gears, it gave me much heavier horror vibes than the other ones. And there's always been an element of horror to Gears. Like, I'm not saying that. I mean, just look at what the Locusts are like. But it just felt more like something about having way more civilians in the mix, Locusts running at them in the streets. You're trying to, like, not hit civilians while hitting Locusts. It just felt very, like, it was something out of a horror game with a zombie outbreak to me, which is kind of what's happening.
Yeah.
It's just subterranean monsters coming out of the ground because it's their planet. Whatever. Anyways, in the order Xbox has got this listed in, there was the other the big closer for them, which was Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4. I have no opinions or weigh-ins on this. Cool, moving on. Halo campaign evolved. This one's still coming to PlayStation, even though they were focusing on, Xbox exclusivity. But we still got PS5 happening for this one. This is like a remake / reimagining of the original Halo campaign. No multiplayer, just play through the original levels with some new stuff too. They're adding cosmetics, which feels kind of weird for like a single player campaign focused game, but sure. Yeah. Halo's special. I don't know how well this one's going to go over, but we'll see.
It's another Halo remake. Let's go. Yep, let's do it.
Metro 2039. Again, not Japanese studio, but Metro as a franchise, I always feel like I probably would like if I gave it the time of day. I just haven't yet. And that's going to be a lot of catch up when I finally do.
Sure. I'm also interested in that series, but there are spiders in it, so rip.
Oh, yep, that'll happen. Fable, which we did get before the presentation got pushed back to early next year, but then the presentation gave us an actual release date in February. I know you were excited about this trailer as you were watching it because of our next celebrity cameo.
Yes, Haley Atwell. She is definitely like a top 5 celebrity crush for me. I love that woman. I love her so much. Give me the game. Give it to me.
We'll learn more about it at release. But I'm interested. Minecraft Dungeons 2.
Cool.
It's Minecraft Dungeons 2. Yeah. Senua, like we're getting a new, like this actually surprised me how quick this feels after the last one. Like I felt like the dev cycle for these were longer.
Yeah, it's honestly kind of disappointing seeing, because even for me, like I thought Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice was like a very cool experiment, a very cool game, and I think that audiences kind of hyper fixated on it a bit too much. And then 2 came out, Senua's Saga came out. I'm not saying that the game was like, some people loved it, some people thought it was solid, like, but in general there was a bit of a little bit of divisiveness in its quality, right?
But I will say
and-
that is one of the interesting things about the pitch for this one. I'm sorry, I'll let you finish what you were. Yeah.
And I'm just saying that, like, now it just feels like that Ninja Theory has just been subjugated to being the Senua studio, and I just don't
Sure.
want that. As someone who was already not as high on the first game as most people, and now, like, just speaking for myself, I feel like I'm bearing the consequences of other people's like praise of it.
Yeah. Well, I will say, and maybe I'm wrong in this read, but the vibe I got from this trailer very much was, hey, we're doing another Senua. We also understand the last one was maybe a little more high concept tech demo style and was about the experience. This one's about the combat. Like, this one looked way more direct action focused, driven to me than the last one did. And especially considering how fast it seems this one is being talked about versus the other one. I mean, who knows? Maybe this doesn't come out for another. I didn't see the release date on this one. I don't know if that's like next year or 4 years from now. But it feels like a much tighter turnaround, which to me implies less focus on fine-tuning all of the hyper next level realism and sound design, and instead being like, all right, let's make a game. And, you know, to be clear, like with the last Senua, that's kind of how I felt. Like, I thought as a game it was kind of whatever, but as a tech demo and like a visual audio experience, freaking crazy, like super cool.
Oh, super
but it's
impressive.
just not a great game. Yeah.
And while we're on that, just a quick side tangent, their other game project, Maria, has been canceled.
Yeah, Project Mara. Yeah.
Oh,
that's
Mara,
just
sorry.
out. Yeah.
Mara.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been canceled. And, like, that sucks. Like,
Probably in favor of this. Yeah.
I want something new. Give me something new.
Yeah. I'm glad they're just not doing DMC again. Wolong 2. If you're a fan of like the Team Ninja, we go from Ninja Theory to Team Ninja. If you're a fan of the Team Ninja Souls-like games, like I mentioned earlier, I wasn't huge on Neo. I wasn't huge on Wolong.
Rise of the Ronin.
Yeah, the Rise of the Ronin mixes it up a little bit. Neo and Wolong are definitely like in a very similar vein, where the big divergence point is that Neo
Stranger
is Japan.
Paradise.
True. That yeah, I did like that one more, to be honest. But Wolong is like kind of like, it's a little similar in DNA to Neo, but it's in like warring China era. So, you know, very different setting. State of Decay 3, not a franchise I'm really into.
Great series, just like one that you really have to commit to. That I just
yeah. Resonance, A Plague Tale Legacy. We touched on this real quick a couple weeks ago because I was like, does anyone even know this is happening? Like, I feel like no one's talking about this, and now we can, like, a little bit. It looks neat, way more action driven in different ways, because like Plague Tale was a little more like ranged combat, using a sling. You had certain melee attacks, but it was very stealthy focused. This looks much more like you're getting in people's faces and doing like melee focus. I hope it's good. I like what they do. You know, I think the last Plague Tale game was kind of not as big of a hit as I wanted it to be, but like I'm still cheering for them, you know. Clockwork Revolution, another game that's kind of my vibe, but not super relevant to this.
looks cool.
Yeah, looks cool. I like the choice and consequence thing, making it a time travel thing. Cool. Spyro, we got a new Spyro.
Hell yeah, that was sick. That being, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say the gameplay. The only gameplay we saw was not traditional Spyro, though. It was like a flying thing, and I don't know if that's the whole game or if they were just showing like a new aspect to it.
Yeah, I wouldn't think too much into it.
Yeah, that's fair.
That being said, give Toys for Bob Banjo and Kazooie. That's what you need to do next.
Yeah, if Rare doesn't want to do it, that's yeah.
There's no reason why Xbox isn't like, okay, great job. Make Banjo and Kazooie next. Go.
What is Toys for Bob under Xbox, or I thought they were under Activision?
No,
oh wait, that's right.
No, they got their freedom.
Yeah,
they're independent, but they're still like working closely with Xbox.
That's right. Okay. Doom: The Dark Ages getting its big expansion that like reformats the gameplay a little bit. You drop your shield, you get a spear, less knight, more barbarian energy. Looks cool. Here we go for some stuff for our audience. Persona 4 Revival. Let's go.
The GOAT has returned.
Yes, we get to see it extensively finally. We get to see, you know, little snippets of what the combat's looking like. You know, very similar to 3 Reload. This has taken a lot of pages out of what has kind of become the core gameplay style after 5. You know, we're getting some fancier looking special moves, beautiful looking UI stuff. It looking fancy. I'm down.
Yes. And while we're talking about that, sorry, I yawned for a sec. There is a collector's edition for Persona
Yes.
4 Revival. It is $249.99.
Spicy.
Yep. And it comes with the game, steelbook, art book, keycap, and keychain, a statue of the protagonist and Izanagi, a DLC costume set, persona set, and background music set, and a collector box. And there is a pre-order bonus of Persona 3 Reload and Persona 5 Royal extra background music set. And yeah, and the release date is February 18th.
Yes. Yep, which, as we thought, Q1 next year makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it looks really great.
Yep.
Really great.
Yeah, and that wasn't the only Persona news, because that P6 reveal sure did happen and gave about as much info as we thought it would. Even less, because we didn't really get a musical genre with the time we got. We did get kind of a theme vibe, though. So green is the lead color, like we all thought it would be. And we are going spooky, scary skeletons on this one, folks.
Spooky, scary skeletons.
Yeah. The main kind of theme establishing shot is a cemetery. Would not be surprised if that's the direction that the blue room goes, or the velvet room. If not cemetery, maybe they go for like a morgue or a mausoleum kind of vibe. Who knows? We'll see. But that's the kind of establishing thing where it feels like, while I wouldn't necessarily say it's going to be a horror game, horror certainly seems to be a theme that they're going to be incorporating into the type of story they'll be telling with it. So, yeah, not a full reveal. We haven't seen like character designs or any kind of more in-depth thing, but it's happening, and it's next year.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I think what you're saying, you make a lot of sense with your theories on what the potential like Velvet Room is, and things like that. I think what I'm most curious about, because there was a leak since we last recorded like a weekly episode. So like if those leaks are true, which we are assuming they are, because Sega and Atlas did DMCA it. It is definitely it's a different take for sure. We're not gonna like describe, if you want to look up those leaks, you feel free to look them up. But it is definitely a shift from the kind of, in general, you could say it started with 4 as far back as 4, but Persona 5 was just very flashy and over the top and sexy and things like that. Well, this is the exact opposite, right? It seems grim, it seems dark, maybe darker than Persona 3, and it brings a lot of questions as to what this new Persona direction is going to be. And admittedly, I thought we would get a little bit more than what we got, but I'm excited nonetheless. I think we'll probably get a proper reveal sometime next year, and then it'll probably release in 2028. That's my thought process.
I forget. Do we know whether or not Hashino's involved in this? Is he like completely moved on to Metaphor and other projects, or?
No, I'm pretty sure he's the director.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious if there was like a world where this was like potentially there's a bit of change because there's different people, steering the wheel. Because if the leaked stuff is true, it definitely does look like a bit of a shift. And I would say even like it's dark in a different way than 3 is. Like I think 3 felt dark in just a very dreary, grim way that like SMT traditionally is, because that's where Persona started.
Yes.
And this feels more like no, we're really trying to be like kind of grittier and darker with this. So it'll be interesting to see if that's real and what that means for this game. I know I'm gonna play it. I have my takes and opinions about Persona with each release, and I'm definitely like 3 was the peak, and we've been downhill slowly since. But even at its lowest, it's still freaking great. So, we'll see how this one goes. With we'll definitely see more of this before release. I'm going to speed up and skip some of these. I think there's a lot of stuff here that's just not relevant. I don't think people need us to give takes on Flight Simulator 2024.
No,
but what I will talk about, Castlevania Belmont's Curse. Hell yes. It's just looking like quality, folks. Talk about, I've had my opinions about Konami, but they really are, I think, doing some smart moves with which studios they're working with now and collaborating with in terms of hey, we think you could do something with this IP. And hell yeah, are they with this one? I
was gonna say, how do you feel about the number pop-ups?
For the damage?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very traditional, like
Castlevania.
For Metroidvanias, it is. That certainly didn't happen in more classical ones, and I think this one is kind of walking. I think this is a little more traditional in its goal, but there's definitely going to be, I think, a little Metroidvania influence, especially because of just the fact of who's working on it. Number of damage showing up doesn't bother me none. Art style looks awesome. I think the coolest, out of nowhere flex, and I don't think everyone who saw this appreciates it, but I don't know. This is you've got an old school dude helping you out with things. Their key art for this game, and they call this out directly in the trailer, is done by Katsuya Terada, who just does some phenomenal art. This is a guy who's been around in the games industry for a long time. He hasn't been exclusively a video games artist, but he's done game artwork before. I think some of his most classic pieces is he did a lot of the really old Legend of Zelda stuff. And his art style is just so damn cool. And it just felt like the biggest flex for them to be like, hey, check out this art for our main character. And by the way, it was done by Terada. Just so damn cool. We did also get a reveal for the main character's name, because there were a lot of assumptions of maybe they were going to reuse the names from some of the Castlevania games that are no longer canon. It actually is an original new name. We got ourselves Rose Belmont for this one. Game looks cool as hell.
Yeah, I'm excited. Again, Castlevania is near the top of my backlog list of series that I want to play through. I love Motion Twin. I love Evil Empire. Dead Cells is my favorite roguelike. This is absolutely gonna be a must play for me.
Yep. And then 2 games that I'm just gonna mention real quick, but I don't think we need to dive on because we did that in our what we played at SGF, so folks can check that out if they want to hear some deeper thoughts on these. Crazy Taxi World Tour got announced at the Xbox thing. We did get a hands-off, or I got a hands-off demonstration with it, and then Cam got to check out Valor Mortis, which is a new game from the Ghost Runner guys. So there we go. Xbox in the can, done. Now,
hold on, we got to mention as well the 25th anniversary translucent green Xbox Series X.
Oh. Yeah, sure. We're getting a translucent green Xbox Series X. It looks cool. Everyone that went to FanFest just got one straight up.
It's gonna get one. It's just yep. Yeah, no, that's money out of my pocket. I know that literally last week or 2 weeks ago we were talking about how expensive consoles are. I'm sorry, y'all. They got me. They're gonna get me on that one. Go ahead.
It do be shiny. I do agree. I do find it, and I realize anniversaries just work this way, but it is interesting that we had the PlayStation anniversary run, and now we're getting Xbox One. It's they're both for these current systems, and just how shiny both of them are, and calling back to their original systems. In Xbox's case, an alternate color for the original, but sure is an iconic one.
Yeah, and at least they're not limiting the stupid.
Yeah, this isn't a numbered thing. This
PlayStation did.
Yeah, I'm sure that these aren't going to be as common as regular ones, but they're not trying to make it a hyper limited thing. I mean, obviously they gave away a ton at this presentation. All right, let's talk Nintendo. To set the scene a little bit for the Direct, if you haven't been paying attention to online discourse, this is one of those Directs that ended up being a little divisive for folks, and you kind of fall on a side of either wow, this could have been an email, what is this? Or you're that was one of the best Directs that has ever been made. And I will tell you right now, the key defining feature on here is how much you care about RPGs. Which, guess what? We do. And damn, was this one of the best Directs to ever happen. I don't know if I want to say it's number one, but it's freaking up there.
It's up there for sure.
It is up there. Yeah. Oh man, where do I even begin? Let's just go in order. Okay, so to begin with, I think some people thought this was a really weak opener, and like I kind of get where they're coming from, but I also kind of disagree. I don't know. I think you need joy in your life, is all I'm going to say. The first opener is we take another look at Rhythm Heaven Groove, which admittedly not a new reveal. We knew this game was coming, but this was the launch date lock-in for July 2nd, and I mean it's just a fun, happy looking game, y'all. If you never played the originals, like it's a great time and relevant to us and kind of even kickstarting this RPG focus. One of the main like kind of little mini games they revealed was this like little simple rhythm based RPG. That's one of the games you play in it. So, you know, hey, immediately more relevant to us and our listeners. Yeah, I think it looks great.
Yeah, I mean, it's a series that I've never really gotten my hands on, and I know that people, there is a passionate group of people that do love it. It seems charming, you know, and I love rhythm games. So, and listen, it's a first-party Nintendo game. I'm gonna buy it no matter what.
Yeah.
So I'll check it out eventually.
Yeah, and worth noting, I'm pretty sure this one is just like Tomodachi Life, where like this was made for Switch 1. It is getting released on Switch 1. You can play it on a Switch 2, but they're not releasing like a Switch 2 version of it because honestly, There's both going to run just fine. Yeah. Onimusha making its way to Switch 2, same day as everything else. Cool reveal, not any kind of real new information. It's just like, cool, it's coming to Switch as well. Capcom, I think, has been knocking it out of the park with their Switch 2 versions games. I played Pragmata exclusively on the Switch 2, and like, look, it's going to look even better on like a PS5 Pro or a nice PC, but for being on the kind of hardware Switch 2 is and being able to play it portably, looks really damn good and runs well, so I'm hoping that's the case for Onimusha as well. Dragon's Dogma 2, Dark Arisen. This was kind of a surprise. Capcom dropping like a last second new announcement as part of the direct. Dragon's Dogma 2 is getting like expansion content and updates that's coming to all other platforms, and it's just going to be an all-in-one release for the Switch 2 on October 9th. I find it interesting they used the same like subtitle the first Dragon's Dogma did. I don't know if I love that because it was Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen. So now we have Dragon's Dogma 2 Dark Arisen. I don't know. Feels a little silly to me, but here we are.
It's a choice.
Yeah, it's a choice. Stellar Blade, you know, we talked about that a bit ago with the new one coming out, and also the original is coming to Switch, which it feels very funny to me in some ways, but you know what? Sure, let's do it. Solid game, even if we have weird feelings about the new one. Orbitals, you know, not like a ton of new info, but we got to see some new gameplay for this one and a release date for September 3rd. You know,
physical release on cart.
Yes, on cart. We got a real full physical release for this one. Yeah, this has been one of my most anticipated this year since it was revealed at the Game Awards. Cam, I think you have very similar feelings to me on this.
Yes.
Put it in my hands. Let me play this with my wife. I will say, I'm very happy that even though this is part of the September bloodbath, it's at the very start and there's a little bit of a gap. I feel like it gets really bad in the 10s. So like, just try to knock this out before everything else starts dropping.
Yeah, absolutely agree with you.
Rayman Legends Retold. This was announced at the State of Play. I've had my takes on it. They gave a little more like actual description of what's in this one, where it's like, oh, there's dragon riding, and like we're adding this multiplayer mode that was kind of present before, but like we're making it work on the new system. I still think they butchered the art style, but it's probably gonna be fun to play still. Big Walk. I honestly don't know a ton about this one. Do you have any opinions on Big Walk?
Not really. Doesn't seem my type of game, but it is being developed by House, who is the developer of Untitled Goose Game, which, you know, at the very least at the DICE Awards, won Game of the Year. A very unconventional game that has a lot of charm, and like, you know, definitely check it out if you haven't played Untitled Goose Game. So I think that there is something charming about that, and I'm very curious as to like how the community is going to react to that game. But for me personally, like, unless I have a friend that's like, hey, like, come check out Big Walk with us, I don't see myself really playing it.
I'm not going to self-starter on this, but if the right group's happening and they invite, it's like, all right, sure, let's check it out.
That's kind of where I'm at.
Cool. One Piece Grand Gourmet coming out October 23rd. This is just a fun little One Piece themed looking like cooking game that's just kind of fun.
Sure.
I don't go to One Piece. I know a bunch of people who do, and I'm hoping they're excited for this. It looked fun. It's just not. I don't go here. I don't have a lot to add.
I don't. I'm not a One Piece. Like again, I've watched a decent chunk of One Piece, but like it does not interest me.
Yeah. Pocopia showed up, namely to announce an expansion pass.
Yep.
The big thing with this is that they're doing a free update in August where they're adding like underwater stuff where you can like go underwater and do things. And in the base game, you can do that with the water environments that are already existing. But the reason they're adding that in August is because the first big release for the expansion pass is a whole underwater dedicated area. There's going to be like specific things you can build and types of things to do there. And there's going to be new Pokemon you can exclusively meet in this new zone, presumably a whole lot of water types and Pokemon that would make sense to be underwater. This was announced as being like a full expansion pass, and there are going to be 2 more pieces of content eventually. Given the fact that this first one is such a specific flavor of like underwater, it makes me very curious what kind of new zones they might add that are going to also like lean heavy into a specific habitat type that, you know, you can't already do in the current game. I haven't played Pocopia extensively, so I don't know what those could be. I don't know if like, I don't know, can we go inside of a volcano or something? What kind of big variety we can get for that, but cool.
Dope.
Nothing on that one, Cam?
Yep. Nope. I'm not a Pocopia head.
Fair enough. But I know what you are at least potentially excited for. Our next big game, the one that a lot of people want an update for this Direct, Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So we finally have a release date. It is unfortunately right in the middle of the bloodbath that is the back half of September, September 17th.
The same day as Trails in the Sky second chapter.
Like, look, I was talking to some people about this early on socials where I'm like, I don't think that this is necessarily what happened here, but it is a thing that has been happening. And I don't know if this is like specifically what happened here, but it is like, it's just a thought on my mind. Obviously, part of the reason why September and October are such a mess is because everyone's trying to dodge GTA 6. And ultimately, first off, there just has to be a come to Jesus moment of like, look, I understand GTA is direct competition, but are you really going to fight 27 guys instead? Like, is that any actually better? But not only that, but like, some of these games should not even have to worry about that because how big is the actual Venn diagram, right? Like, Control, yeah, maybe they need to worry about it. Trails, I don't think so. I'm not saying that person doesn't exist. I'm just saying there's not a lot of them, not nearly as many. And I feel like there is so much more direct head-to-head competition for Trails and Fire Emblem than either of them would have with GTA. It's just like, please, y'all, space it out more. That said, game's looking good. I have some light moments from it, but we'll get to that. They showed off the 4 main characters again. It really seems like they're emphasizing that these are the main characters. You are not having a stand-in avatar. There's light conspiracy theories that maybe there is one because a lot of key art has shown off a pair of character designs that look like ye old avatar characters. But they weren't really shown or talked about in this trailer at all. Like, they show up in the trailer briefly, but they're not presented as avatar characters. There's a part of me that wonders if maybe this is them doing like a twist on that where they have like a major character that kind of fulfills the plot role of the avatar, but it's not actually a character you control. They're just in the plot doing things. I don't know.
Okay.
Another promise with this is that each of the 4 characters has unique roots. Unique was the word they used, and I hope that's the case, because while I do like Three Houses a lot, there absolutely could have been a lot more variety between the routes for each of them. Act 1 is basically identical for everybody, outside of like the context of what your particular house leader thinks about what's going on. So that would be nice if there's more variety here. The big mechanical reveal, we're using the calendar system again. It's not necessarily the exact same. It does look like there's some changes. There was like a map exploration thing they showed. There was like a going into dungeon almost looking style segment, like what was in Shadows of Valentia. So I the calendar system is coming back, but I don't think it's going to be the exact same as it was in Three Houses. I think my general preference would be to just not have it again, but hopefully if they are doing it again, they do it better and in a way that makes my brain happier. We'll see. I also, this is conspiracy theory on my side. But based on what they showed in the trailer and kind of talked about, it kind of seems like similar to Three Houses, you're going to have characters that are specific to your roots, and then you're also able to recruit other people. But instead of it being like people who are a part of other character stories, it's more like there's just a generic pool of like, these are the root agnostic folks. You can recruit them, you can get them in your army, but like you're going to have folks that are specific to the stories for these characters because they are important for that character's like plot and development. So a whole lot of questions still on like how these roots might mix, how similar this is to Three Houses in some of those respects, how it ties plot wise, whether or not there is an avatar. But I dug a lot of the gameplay we saw still. How you feeling, Cam?
I'm kind of indifferent. I'm kind of in this weird place where obviously I'm excited for a new Fire Emblem game, but it doesn't show anything to me that has me excited about it being a new Fire Emblem, right? Like, what is it going to change? What is it going to bring new to the table? And so I think I'm at a place right now where we either need to like have this kind of dedicated like Treehouse Live or a dedicated direct that focuses on the key aspects of Fire Emblem. Like, are they bringing back the weapon triangle? That was like a thing that they got rid of in Three Houses.
Yeah,
and I think that was a mistake. I don't like that. And so I'm in a place where we'll see. I pre-ordered the collector's edition today, which I'm going to go over in a second here, and what that entails. But I will always get the new Fire Emblem game, and I'm still excited to play it. Obviously, Trails is going to take precedent for me, and I know Fire Emblem is going to take precedent for you. Yep. But both of those games are still they're some of my most anticipated games for this year, and I'm excited to see what this new Fire Emblem is going to bring.
Sure. Let me ask you this real quick before we talk about that collector's edition.
Yeah.
Who you vibing to play first?
Kai. Because he's black. He's the black one.
I mean, so are some of the women.
Oh, that's true. But, like, I'm a dude,
All right, cool.
And also his hair's purple, and, like, that's my favorite color. And I'm like, yeah. But, yeah, I do like Kai a lot, so.
Nice. Yeah, I will say, I think my, like, immediate reaction is I'm leaning towards Lita, who's, like, the musician on a revenge story. I just really cool. like her design. I think that's kind of a compelling pitch. But I will also say Kai gives the most like traditional JRPG protagonist energy to me, which isn't necessarily what I would always use as my guiding like star for who to pick. But if I know I'm going to play all the routes eventually, it just gives me this vibe that like he's going to be the most default traditional. And so it's like, all right, let's do that first, and then we'll see what these other ones have going on.
And I really hope that all of these routes. I hope that how this is structured is like you do a route and then when you're basically about to hit the last chapter, you start another route and you wait until you have to like get all these characters to like the last chapter, and then they all come together, and you can use them all together for whatever the final boss is or whatever the final threat is. Because like the idea for me, even knowing that like they're going to be unique routes, the idea of like potentially playing an 80-hour game with one character, and it's like, all right, do it 3 more times. So there's a collector's edition called the Dagdan Collection. It's $119.99. It's pre-orderable, like it's listed everywhere at this point. By the time this episode comes out, it may be sold out everywhere, but I still want to bring it up just in case, like you can monitor in case things go up. But it's going to be up on Amazon, Best Buy, GameStop, and the Nintendo Store. I got mine on the Nintendo Store today. I actually pre-ordered another one on Amazon just in case any shenanigans happen. And it comes with some art cards, an art book, a steel book, a map, as well as a did I say steelbook already?
Yes.
Yeah, and then the game.
Yeah.
And the game normally retails for $80, so you're getting all of that for just another 40, which for me, I think that's a pretty good deal. And yeah,
Yeah,
September 17th.
I was talking to someone earlier where I was saying that I feel like, generally speaking, Nintendo actually has some of the better value and tamer collector's editions. I think they don't put nearly as fancy of things in, but it's like, okay, that stuff's cool, and you're not charging me like $300.
That's the thing that's actually interesting, because we talked about that a little bit in the Discord about the Persona 4 collector's edition. That the Reload collector's edition was like what, 150 maybe?
150, yeah.
Yeah, and it came with about basically the same things that we're getting in the Persona 4 one, but it's $100 more. Now, granted, tariffs, things like
economics have not been doing great,
but also like I think one of the things that like and I still think Atlas is one of the best when it comes to collector's editions as well, but there was a disappointment with the size of the Aegis figure that was in that collector's edition. I still bought it because I love Atlas and I wanted it, but like knowing that and with having that in mind, like looking at this Persona 4 statue, I'm like, okay, but like how big is this thing? You know what I mean? Like how big is the statue?
Yeah. And not necessarily Sega's fault, but I know there was a lot of reactions to the Raito remastered collectors that finally went out from limited run, and it's a rough time for expensive.
Was
not to code.
Yeah, not to code.
I also just want to go on a very random tangent with this real quick. This is a pet peeve of mine, and it's part of why I'm probably not grabbing this collector's edition. I know this is a weird me thing. Maybe I've talked about this before. I am so bothered by like that orientation art book, like the long ones,
the very long
instead
vertical or horizontal,
and which also tend to be like smaller too. Like they tend to be lower page counts in my experience. I've never seen like a thick one in that orientation. I don't know, man. I see that and I'm like, I don't want that. The art might even be really cool. I don't know. I just see it. I'm just like, I have
every Fire Emblem Collector's Edition since Fates, so I can't stop. Also, the Three Houses one was fantastic, and like the Steelbook, gorgeous. So
I only ever got Fates, and because it was all on one cart, that was the only reason I really wanted it. And then I did grab Shadows of Valentia. I forget why I did. I think the art book in that actually looked really nice, but I forget. Okay, so moving on from Fire Emblem. Did not expect this. Ninjala 2. Ninjala's back. I never played this. I thought it was something that had like a niche-focused fan base, but didn't really blow up. Did not expect to get a sequel, but here it is.
Cool for the Ninjala fans.
Yeah. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I do want to mention that I think it's a little BS. DK Challenges, Nintendo Switch Online is getting like kind of an achievement system thing that's limited time and just for playing old Donkey Kong games, and like it ends, so it's not even a permanent thing. And then they're also doing special Donkey Kong Bonanza Mario collaboration content that's not only limited time, but is also literally only gainable by playing it on specific days. I don't know. I'm just like, what are we doing here? I don't like Mario collab stuff's cool, but like, why is that the implementation? It's your own property.
That's like some of the worst stuff that Nintendo does. That's like some of the worst things about Nintendo.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Like I get if you have a collab with like another company and that's like limited time because licensing rights are a headache. Sure, fine, whatever. But it's like you own both of these. What are we doing? Anyways, JJK Rumble Survivathon is a name
from Ponicle.
Yeah, it's Vampire Survivors, but JJK, and they're adding in some flavorful rules from like the culling game stuff. It's also competitive, like it's like a last man standing, and you know you're competing to see who survives at the end. Sure.
I feel like the studio is better than this. You know what I mean, though? Like I'm not trying to like I like JJK. Don't get me wrong, but like. This is like one of the most notable indie devs out right now, and for some reason they're making a JJK game.
For some reason
that is just Vampire Survivors again. It's just like
the reason is licensing and a fat stack of cash, my friend. Like, like I'm sure. Like this is a calibration.
But do they really need that? with how much of a success Vampire Survivors was.
I mean, I don't know. I haven't said no to paychecks before, even when I don't need to pay bills. Like it, like it happens, man. I don't.
I mean, it happens to smaller, like from like not as big studios. Sure, I don't know. I just feel like that they are.
Maybe they're JJK fans and actually thought it was a cool idea. I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah. Lords of the Fallen 2 again coming to Switch 2. We talked about that again real quick. Lies of P Complete Edition making its way to Switch. That is one thing with this direct, is that we do have a lot of ports. I mentioned Stellar Blade earlier. There's definitely a few things where it's like, this game is really cool. It's been out for a while in other places, but now you can play it on Switch too. So there's a few of those going on. DMC5 Devil Hunter Edition, same here. I will say there was a pain in my chest when the way they presented this was by calling it the most recent Devil May Cry game. And I'm like, that's an accurate statement, but it has been a while now.
Yeah. You're saying the truth, and I don't like it.
Yeah. Big moment for me. Massive pleasant surprise. I said this in a predictions video that wasn't really an actual prediction as much as it was me just trying to will it into existence. And damn if it didn't work. We are getting a new modern console friendly version of Muramasa. This is the
I was like, did you pull because I was gonna message you like, hey, did you know that was going to be announced and that's why you
No.
What a
pull. That.
What a pull.
Yeah. So for those that haven't heard me rant about this is Vanillaware's last game that released in the West that is not possible to play on modern systems until now. Everything else has been remastered or re-released in some way. This game originally came out on the Wii. It got a Vita release called Muramasa Rebirth. And this is going to be a further remaster, remake, whatever you want to say, of that version called Muramasa Revenant Blades. This is just an awesome looking, as every Vanillaware game is, 2D action game. This is including not only the base game, but also bonus content that was sold separately for the Vita version. So it's all together right off the bat. Truly a fantastic game. I mean, I love everything Vanillaware's done, and so happy that this is not stuck on old systems. This is going to be a way for people to play it again. There was a lot of good announcements at this direct. This one might have actually hit me directly the most, just because I was like, I cannot believe it's actually happening.
That is crazy. That is crazy for sure. Yeah. That's a huge W.
Yeah. Speaking of crazy and big deal. Okay, so we all assumed going into this direct we were getting something Xenoblade, and I think the most common assumption was like Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Switch 2 edition, definitive edition, whatever you want to call it, Switch 2 native version, and we got that. And in fact, we got Switch 2 versions of all three Xenoblade Chronicles games. The original came out today. You can get it as a $10 upgrade, or you can eventually buy a physical version of it if you'd like, because it is a Switch 1 and 2 compatible one. It's got that big old box text at the bottom I hate, so your mileage may vary. Later on, we're going to get Xenoblade Chronicles 2. That release, at least initially digitally, is going to be July 30th, and Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is going to be on December 3rd. These are not only Switch 2 native versions that update the performance of these games, but they do also have some bonus content. It almost kind of feels like they just had a mandatory ask of you need to add something, because they're all just kind of bonus side minigame things. But, still, that's cool. That those are being added. And then what I don't think a lot of people expected to see, I know people who hope to, but we're kind of it's probably too soon, but it'd be cool if we got a brand new Xenoblade Chronicles game reveal. It's not called 4. They're going with a different subtitle in this one, which is Xenoblade Chronicles Genesis.
It's not even Xenoblade Chronicles, it's Xenoblade Genesis.
Oh, is it just Xenoblade Genesis? I might have missed that earlier. Oh, yeah. Damn. Yeah. A couple interesting things about this game just immediately. I think the big thing that stood out to me right away is that this is a much more strictly fantasy coded game. Xenoblade Chronicles, the numbered ones, were all kind of fantasy sci-fi mix. Xenoblade Chronicles X was much more hard sci-fi coded. Whereas this is fantasy. There are elves, you are playing as them. There are no clear robot machine things in sight. Everything is very fantasy, magical world kind of tone and vibe.
Going to school.
yeah, it's an Academy theme, so we'll see how that works with stuff. And I think one of the cool, just kind of like world set piece things, because that's a big thing I think for Xenoblade, right? Like Xenoblade Chronicles X, you're on an alien planet. Xenoblade Chronicles, you're on these giant, mech statue things that are at war with each other. 2 is like the floating islands and stuff. The tone for this one is, it is a inverted world. You are standing on the ground, and when you look up, you see the other side of the planet. So it's an interior sphere type deal, which is cool. I dig the vibe. We didn't get like clear raw gameplay, so it's not really clear, is the combat the same? Are we doing something different this time? Is it more action gamey? We don't know. How this overall game is structured, we don't have a great idea of yet. I've seen a few theories already circulate. Some people think it's going to be along the lines closer to X. Some people think it's going to be a much more narrative, direct, linear experience. Honestly, just not enough from this trailer, I think, to like say for certain just yet. But yeah, new Xenoblade game coming out 2027. Damn.
Yeah, I honestly wasn't super surprised that this was announced, because again, I thought that we were gonna get one by basically December of next year, because that's when they like to release Xenoblade games. Really cool aspect. We have female protagonists for the first time in the series. Super dope.
True, like true protagonist, not what's the term, deuterogenist or whatever. Like there's a lead, secondary, but you still have your main. Yeah, but the main this time is a woman.
Very cool, because we don't have enough of those in the franchise or in the franchise in the genre. That's what I meant to say. And another thing that I want to that I think is interesting, because I think you made all the notable points to make about the game in and of itself. So there's been a lot of talk already about like the direction this game is going, considering how Future Redeemed ends. And to be clear, I haven't finished Future Redeemed, but even with Xenoblade Chronicles 3, it was very clear that they were tying things back around with Xenogears and Xenosaga. And
tonally, at least,
yeah, totally. And then Future Redeemed expands on that even more. And I think for those that have finished Future Redeemed, it kind of gave that it gave a sense of expectation that the next Xenoblade game was going to continue that trend. But with what we have seen so far, it seems like that isn't the case. And so, and I'm not a I haven't played Xenosaga, I haven't played Xenogears yet. I don't have that level of commitment to the series like that, where I'm having these kind of expectations as well. But it is something that I wanted to like kind of take note of. And I know that you've played, the games, Kevin, and I kind of wanted to know your thoughts on it.
Yeah, I mean, look, the fantasy direction is absolutely divergent from like everything else. Even Xenoblade Chronicles being kind of a fantasy sci-fi hybrid was more fantastical in some ways than Xenosaga and Xenogears. Like those games are primarily sci-fi. They absolutely have like fantasy elements. There's magic, there's other stuff going on, but it's like they're games that take place in space with spaceships and mechs and all that kind of stuff going on. Like that's the main surface level focus. So this is absolutely diverging from that. I actually did have a thought while it was happening where I was like, I do feel like there's kind of a pendulum swing right now in the not to dismissively call Xenoblade an anime game, but I think anime tropes in general right now are really falling in love with like traditional fantasy in a way that hasn't been true in a while. You see it a lot in the space with stuff like Dungeon Meshi, Frieren, Witch Hat Atelier most recently. There was a trend so long of like video game fantasy that a lot of isekais lead into, and sci-fi fantasy mixes. And there's been a really big boom, I think, in like traditional fantasy coding that's inspired more directly by like a Lord of the Rings. And so I found that very interesting that this game is taking that turn as well. I don't know if that's just a sign of general industry shift or inspiration, but it was a thought I had while watching it. It's tough because as much as I would like to say that I think there's a great unifying vision for the Xeno games in general, I do think they've kind of soft reset a few times, and that was even one of my takes with Xenoblade Chronicles 3, where I was like, oh, this feels the most Xeno to me finally. Like, I didn't really feel this with Chronicles. I didn't really feel this with Chronicles 2. But 3, even though there are some things I like more about 1 and 2, I think that one felt the most like, oh, this feels like a successor to, like, the older games.
Yeah.
And so this one kind of, maybe eschewing that a little bit. It's hard to tell because I think, yes, sci-fi is such a core part of the series in a lot of ways, but I ultimately think sci-fi is a trapping, and it's much more the type of narrative and the type of story that's being told that matters more. And there's just only so much we know from the snippets of the trailer we got today,
Yeah.
So I can understand if there's maybe a little hesitance or worry about like, oh, like this looks different. But I'm absolutely down to see the direction it's going to go with it.
Cool. One thing I want to mention before we move away from Xenoblade that's worth mentioning is the expansions. The expansions for the Nintendo Switch 2 edition, only Future Connected is actually a part of the Nintendo Switch 2 editions. Torna Country and Future Redeemed are not a part of their respective Switch 2 editions.
You still have to buy them separately.
You still have to buy those separately. Yeah, which I am not happy about. But
yeah, they're effectively treating them as, no, these are just like hard resets of these games. We're still working their DLCs and tie-ins the same way they worked on the Switch 1 versions. These aren't re-releases. These are just Switch 2 edition updates for these games, is basically how they're treating it.
Yep.
Yeah. Next up, Switch Sports Resort, a game that I think, generally speaking, the energy from people is kind of like, yeah, sure, another one. Which, funny enough, this is probably going to be the game that does the most numbers out of everything on here. Switch Sports games make money, y'all. It's just families love them. It's great to go for kids. I will say the only part of this presentation that was definitely weird was they were like showcasing the thumb wrestling thing, and it just went on a little too long. It was like, I don't like, it's fine. I get it. I understand what this mini game is. I don't need the play-by-play. It was kind of wacky. It's kind of weird.
And this was rumored for a while, for a little bit now, that there was going to be, it was, known as like Switch Sports 2, but learning that it's Switch Sports Resort, that makes
Perfect
sense.
Yeah, and it has a release date of October 22nd, so that is another this year release that's coming. And I'm sure it's going to do some numbers for the holidays. RuneScape Dragon Wilds. I don't know if you've heard of this game. It was only at every other presentation.
Next.
September 15th. Hello Kitty Party Land. It's Mario Party, but Hello Kitty Sanrio themed. I don't have a lot to say other than I hope my boy Big Challenges shows up. That's all I want. Have I ranted to you about Big Challenges?
No.
He's my favorite Sanrio character. He's just a very awkward-looking sideways alligator, and his name is Big Challenges. I love him. He's in the Hello Kitty Island Adventure game, and because that game's 3D, you can look at him from the front, and it's nightmarish. It is an atrocity. I love me some Big Challenges. Anyways, Star Fox, we got another update on. The big news here, demo drop was today. I was playing it a little bit myself before we started recording. I just think that's cool. I'm never going to be mad at a demo drop, especially for a big first-party game. I feel like you see that a lot more rarely, especially with Nintendo. So, great. Never going to be mad about that. I think one of the bigger surprises today, especially with the way that they pitched it with the reveal, we have our very first HD 2D Final Fantasy game. Not Final Fantasy coded, not Square Enix JRPG, straight up Final Fantasy. Technically not new, but we'll get into that. Final Fantasy Resonance. This is a new release in the tradition that we've been seeing lately with Square Enix taking gacha titles, mobile games, and adapting them to a more traditional single-player setting. They did this with Fantasian, and then more recently Octopath Traveler 0. And this is an adaptation of Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, a game that I myself have never played. I think I maybe downloaded it once, but did not stick with it. But this is taking the elements and story and designs from that game and turning it into an HD 2D original release for consoles. And the announcement was at Nintendo. We already know it's coming to other platforms. I saw like a PlayStation post for it as well. Because this is based on a gacha game that involved like here's characters from across the IP, that's still happening in this game where they are not party members, but they are visions that you can summon for special attacks. We've seen a couple revealed already. Gotta have Cloud. Ishtala's in there as well. This looks cool. This looks cool to me. I think my personal main take with it is I think this is a cool trend. I hope Square Enix keeps it up. I would love them to do it for Nier. My other hope with this one is that maybe this is a little bit of a soft market test. And look, I'm not going to be the Final Fantasy fan that demands that the next main line needs to be a classical turn-based game. But it would be cool if we just got more turn-based RPGs bearing the Final Fantasy name. Like, you don't have to like lie to me and be like, "Oh, this is Bravely Default, a new IP that has nothing to do with Final Fantasy." Just make a Final Fantasy game that's turn-based and it's a side title. It's fine. It doesn't have to be 17. Just like you can make more. It's cool. And I hope that's what happens with this one.
Yeah, it's super dope. I'm super happy to see this. This is something that I cannot wait to play. Do we have a release date for this yet?
We do, October 22nd.
October 22nd. Cool. Yay, a game close to GTA 6 that I'm going to play. Yeah, it looks super dope. Again, you've kind of said everything that there's to say. That I love Final Fantasy. I love that they're making a 2D HD2D Final Fantasy game. I'm honestly surprised it took them this long, and it's nice that they're like, even though it's not a 1-for-1, I like that they're kind of continuing this trend of bringing these mobile games to consoles in a different way, because I've not liked the way that they have approached the mobile market at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, and there is a collector's edition that is sold out, unfortunately, but who knows if in case it goes up. Again, I'm going to read this to y'all anyway. So the collector's edition comes with the game, a digital deluxe upgrade code, an acrylic block set, a pixel art book, original soundtrack, and a promo card for the Final Fantasy trading card game.
I'm so glad it's for that and not Magic.
Oh my god, that would suck so bad.
Especially because this is not a cheap... So this is like a Square Enix store exclusive. So it's not only expensive to begin with, but you also have to pay for shipping, and it's...
Their shipping is murder.
Yeah, it is. It really is. There's a lot of stuff I love about Square Enix games. One thing I will continually always talk a little crap about is I do not care about their online store. I just don't think it's great.
Yeah, it's not good. As someone who bought the Kingdom Hearts 3 stuff and the very limited Final Fantasy 15 collector's edition,
the Pixel Remaster collector's
the Pixel Remaster. Yep. So that the collector's edition is $210 pre-tax and shipping. And then the standard version is selling for $50, which is cool because it's not full 60 or 70. And it's getting a physical release for PS5, Switch, and Switch 2. It is a game key card on Switch 2, but it is also available on Xbox via digital.
Yeah. Also worth noting for that collector's edition, this is one of those ones where they do offer a non-game edition where you just get the physical goods on their own.
Yes, and that is also unfortunately sold out as of recording, but the price for that is $150 in case it does go back up.
Yes. Next reveal. I don't have a lot to say on this one. Piku Niku 2 coming out next year. I don't know much about Piku Niku. Any thoughts? Any takes?
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Perfect. Moving on. You'll know this one. It was revealed fairly recently, and now we got more info on it, as well as I think only a release window. I don't think we got an actual hard date. Dragon Quest Monsters: The Withered World.
Yes, which I kind of called it.
You did?
A week or two ago that hey, this is probably going to come out in December. That being said, it's still surprising, just in the sense of like they made it sound like the game was still going to be a while. It was just going to come out before Dragon Quest 12. So now we're in this weird middle ground here where it's like, okay, did they just misspeak, or is Dragon Quest 12 a lot sooner than we think it is?
Yeah, maybe. I do think there was maybe a bit of an attempt to misdirect, so it's like a pleasant surprise this game's coming sooner. I wonder if maybe there were also marketing deals in place where it's like, hey, we want to talk about this at the anniversary, but also it's supposed to get like full reveal at a Nintendo Direct, X amount of days later. Yeah, I think there's a lot of different reasons for how this played out the way it did. There is certainly a part of me that wants to believe your hope that 12 is sooner than we think, but I don't know.
It's not even a hope. It's more just based off of what they said. You know what I mean?
No, I guess what you're saying. I know. I'm just saying that's a very optimistic interpretation of events.
Yeah. So very cool. Again, similar to Final Fantasy Resonance, it's gonna have the same physical releases, digital via Xbox. There is a collector's edition. It's also Square Enix store exclusive. It includes the game, a monster pattern cleaning cloth, a round and squishy pouch featuring, Dragon Quest slime. There's 2 figurine sets, one of the three kids, Bianca, or not the 3 kids, the 3 like romance choices from Dragon Quest V. So it's Nera, Bianca, and Deborah. And then the figure sets feature Fluffy, Fizzy, and Scruffy, who are like the same like species of monsters that I guess this game focuses around. And there's also you get the digital deluxe edition pack. And that's going for $219.99, while the standard releases for $59.99. The Switch 2 version is also a game key card, so Switch 1 it is for physical.
Yeah, I am very curious. I'm actually surprised this still has a Switch 1 release, because I feel like Dark Prince was a little dicey.
It was,
performance-wise. And like this looks better. Like this looks like a more demanding game. So I'm very curious how that Switch 1 version is going to look and feel, because I'm sure that was Switch 2 gameplay they showed.
Yeah, and like in reality, I'm gonna play it on Switch 2,
sure,
and then just have it for Switch for collection purposes,
archival reasons. Yeah,
and even then, like it's mainly because the Dark Prince was only physical on Switch. If they did a PS5 release, I'd have been like, oh, I'm gonna go back and get Dark Prince on PS5, and then I'm gonna get Withered World.
But you don't want to
PS5.
split the franchise.
But I don't want to split the franchise. No, I don't like that.
Damn. Yeah, but looks great. Like we also thought from the initial trailer, this is definitely tying into Dragon Quest V. We got 2 of the potential brides from that game, both showing up as the main leads, and then the sister also shows up at the very end of the trailer, who is she sure is something. If you play Dragon Quest V, you will know.
On the DS specifically.
Well, she's in the other ones too, but she's potentially a marriage candidate in the DS version.
Oh, okay. I see what you mean.
Yeah. She still existed. You just couldn't marry her before.
I did not know that. I thought she was only in that one.
No. Next up, and this is a little bit of a bittersweet one. I'm kind of like, I don't love how this one shook out. Duskbloods did make an appearance. We got a few shots showing off the world a little bit more, giving us more of that kind of like, yeah, this is kind of Bloodborne coded a little bit. This is definitely a From game. And then it cuts to announcing there's going to be a closed network test this summer. And that is it. Given the fact they were announcing a closed network test, I can understand not announcing a release date, although a general window would have been nice still. I think what bothers me about this is that, like, there is still just not really any great tangible info of what this even is. Like, we know it's FromSoft, we know it's a multiplayer game, but like, okay, you're going to do a closed network test. What exactly is being tested and how does it feel to play? Like, what is this game? It's just a thing where, and like they've talked about it, they've described it a little bit, but it's all been very vague. And it's just like, I just want to know what this is. Like, really in depth.
No, that's totally fair. This is about what I expected for the Duskbloods. Like, I I know that we talked about it before, but I was never fully sold on the idea that that game was going to come out this year.
Mm-hmm.
And just because they're doing a closed summer beta test or whatever doesn't mean that there isn't a chance for that.
I think it depends on how that goes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where like, yeah, if it comes out this year, okay. If it doesn't come out this year, we got plenty of other stuff to play.
Yeah, we do. This is true. Okay, so next up, Splatoon Raiders. This was interesting because it was like a decent amount of time spent on it, and then it also announced a dedicated direct. Like usually when they do an announcement, it'll just be like a quick like, oh, hey, check out this game too. By the way, there's gonna be a dedicated showcase. They actually like showed off a decent bit of the game and then announced a dedicated direct coming on June 30th. I feel like we've seen this one a lot so far. It's another kind of like, all right, let's just get to release. But yeah, I'm not a huge Splatoon guy. You got any takes on this one, Cam?
Not really. I mean, I like that it's a more of a single player focus. I know that there are campaigns in the other Splatoon games, but
yeah,
that's
there's
like,
a co-op element, but
yeah. But that's like kind of what's most interesting to me. It's something I'll definitely check out when I eventually,
cool.
Eventually down the line. It's not like I like Splatoon, but I've never been like really super engaged with it in a way where I'm like, oh, this is a day one for me.
Yeah. Speaking of a day one, Deltarune Chapter 5.
Yeah, how you feeling?
Oh, I am so ready for my heart to get broken. Oh my god. This game's going to be devastating. I can already tell. I know I'm gonna play it, and I'm like, if we have to podcast the next day, I might not show up. I don't know. I might just ghost for a bit. Who knows? We'll find out. But it's coming out June 24th. Deltarune, it's a little odd because we don't actually, like, there's kind of a mystery still to the actual full structure of this game. Like, 5 is kind of implied to be where it's ending, but there might actually be more stuff too. It's all in a weird space. Toby Fox is very playful and strange, and so we're going to see the actual full shape of this thing. And I'm sure we are going to learn more with Chapter 5's release. But yeah, I'm excited.
That's what's interesting about it, is that like they didn't say it was the final chapter, and so because I said to you before, like, once they announce the final chapter, I'll buy the game and I'll catch up, and now I'm like, do I do it now, or
because what's weird is that I'm pretty sure he has said in the past that like 5 is going to be like kind of where it ends, but then the UI and stuff clearly makes reference to there being like 7 days. I forget the exact. It's been a little bit since I like dove into all the theory on this. I just know there's a lot of like, where is this actually ending, and when is this game actually done? But we're certainly going to learn. Certainly, based on the past chapters, they've been very heavily building and leading up into this 5th one. There's kind of a big climax moment that's probably happening soon. So, oh boy, am I excited to see what happens.
Because that's the thing, is that that gives me what 15 days. Like, I think I could catch up in 15 days. You know what I mean? Even with
it's less than 10 hours, like, I think.
Yeah, even with what my schedule is like, I think I could do it in 15 days. And it's just like, do I do it now? It's because what? It's like $20?
Steam has it listed for $25.
Yeah, so like, I think I might do it. I might do it.
I would certainly be interested in hearing your thoughts. If it is truly the end and we both finish it up, I think that'd be a fun potential spoiler cast type talk. Especially coming from like you just blitzing all of it at the last second, and me having had like a decade of anticipation, working through it. Could be an interesting talk. Okay, moving on. We got some other ports. Metaphor making its way to Switch 2. Not a surprise, but cool to see official. November 12th.
Yeah, finally.
It is the one game fighting GTA 6 is a Metaphor ReFantazio port for Switch 2. Let's go. Minecraft is also coming to Switch 2 sometime this year.
Duh.
Neat. Then we have the lightning round, the montage, the roundup. They cut through a bunch of different stuff. Immediately roll into our stuff, even though I don't really play the franchise. Atelier Caria. I don't know if this is this tied to like one of the already ongoing series. Do you know? Because like I know Atelier series kind of do chunks where it's like these 3 games are tied together, these ones are tied together.
Yeah, so it's interesting because it is a new name, and normally they fall under the same series based off the name. But what's interesting is that in the trailer, there's a tease of a character, and it looks like Yumiya.
Mm.
And also when you look at the logo of Atelier Karia, it looks similar to the Atelier Yumiya logo. And so I'm curious if it's connected in that sense. But if not, then it probably is just a new series. Because even though the Atelier games are under the same franchise, there are different teams, right, that kind of focus
Right.
on their own Atelier games. So who knows if this is like the next one that the Yumiya team's working on, or if it's a different team. Because we had Yumiya and then we had Resloriana,
Yeah.
and so now we have this one. So who knows?
Also in the wrap up real quick, Metal Gear Solid Collection 2, we already knew that was happening, but it's come to Switch 2. Makes sense. Cool. This one feels a little bit like a snub, but I'm not too surprised. Tales of Eternia Remastered got shown off here.
Release date.
Yeah, which like I think we ever actually officially know this was announced? We knew about this because it was like leaked, but was it ever officially announced before this?
It was announced, if I remember correctly, yes.
Okay. Because I feel like this is one of those ones where it was just kind of like just a terribly kept secret. Yeah, I mean, cool. It's got a release date. I'm more excited for what this means of like what other Tales games could get announced, but
it was not announced. That was the announcement
okay.
trailer.
I'm not crazy.
I
think it was just a very terribly kept secret.
Yes.
I feel like it was like it got rated and everyone was like, "Oh, that's happening." Yeah. So like this was the reveal and it was part of the roundup. Oops. But yeah, like I played Tales of Eternia back in the day. I think it's a cool game. I'm more excited for what this means of maybe getting like Destiny or Fantasia again, though. This opens the door to older Tales, which is cool.
Yes, would love that.
Okay. Now, here's where things start to get kind of wild again. Not a huge surprise. I think everyone saw this coming eventually, but Kingdom Hearts finally coming out natively on Switch 2. All of them re-released again. They got the 3 collections. They're all coming out at the same time. They're also releasing like a box set that's everything. The cover art for it looks questionable, which I don't know if you have a better insight on this than I do. Because I know there's been already a lot of talk of like, is this AI generated? Is that like, what is this? What is this?
Yeah, so what it looks like is, so initially people thought that it was completely AI generated because Donald Duck has 4 fingers on one hand.
There's a couple other weird things,
and then some of the other hands look weird as well. But that being said, it look from what it seems like the actual reality is that these images that make up the art are all stripped from different art pieces and were compiled together and presumably with AI.
Right, like
and
they told an AI to do a collage of these images or something.
I don't know if it was like that or if they or what, but like these are pieces that Nomura drew that were compiled together. So if for when it comes to like the weird hand or the mistakes and things like that, that was seemingly Nomura, not any sort of AI shenanigans.
Yeah.
Don't know the exact specifics, but that is what that is. That being said, it's getting a physical re-release for PS5 and Switch 2. It's a game key card. That sucks.
Not surprising, but it does suck.
Yeah, not surprising, but it does suck. So picking that up on PS5, and it might be the 1-1, Kevin. It might be the 1-1 where I have to pull the trigger on it, unfortunately.
On a GKC?
Yeah, it
All
might have to
right.
be the 1-1,
Hey man, I got a copy of Procopia. I can't blame you. You know,
and it
one
hurts
got into
my
my house.
it hurts my soul, but like I do want a sealed copy of every Kingdom Hearts game on every platform, and that's just kind of how that
But
is.
is it truly a sealed copy? If, anyways, don't worry about it.
Yeah, so
Other news
that
that wasn't
go
part
ahead.
of this. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say some other news that was a part of this reveal that's worth bringing up. Not all of this was announced at the direct, but the cloud version on Switch One is going to get delisted fairly
Thank
soon.
God.
Uh, but there is also a save transfer for those that played the cloud version and want to transfer it over. And like, I understand not liking the idea of the cloud version. I do think it's a little sudden to like completely delist and deactivate it this fast. I'm not saying there's a ton of people who are actively playing it on there, but it just seems like you weren't going to keep it alive like a little while after launching the Switch 2 version. I don't know. It just feels a little weird. But also, yeah, how many people actually care about this version?
No one.
The follow up to this is a thing that I certainly didn't see coming. I gave you my hesitation to believe it would happen this year, and I don't know about you, but I certainly never would have expected to see it here. Kingdom Hearts 4 showed up. I thought if it was going to show up, which I was skeptical about, I was like, oh, probably the SGF, maybe the State of Play. That's not happening at Nintendo. Nintendo's where they do the side games and the ports and they're not going to do Kingdom Hearts 4 re-reveal here. And boy, they did exactly that.
Yeah, so what I will say is I did know about the Switch 2 port announcement prior to the direct. And I I was told that there could be something for Kingdom Hearts 4 at the time. But even that in mind, I was thinking like, oh yeah, it would totally make sense that they were just like, and just so you know, Kingdom Hearts 4 is gonna
It's
launch
still
day
coming.
one
Yeah,
on Switch 2. Like,
sure.
no trailer, no gameplay, just a hey, this is confirmed. This is confirmed happening. Now, the fact that we actually got a trailer is really crazy. It is really crazy. Do I think that this was like the right trailer to show as a re-reveal? No. I don't think this was like the right trailer for a re-reveal after all this time.
It
I
did
think
not quite have the sauce.
yeah, I think it should have been. Well, I'm not gonna go say that. I'm just saying that like it just didn't give much in the sense of like I think we should have gotten like a world or something like that. Now, that being said, we got some Easter eggs in here. We got some things in here. Like we see Sora with a different Keyblade that isn't Kingdom Key. And what it looks like is like it's like this part water, part fire blade. And that's getting me thinking like, is Elemental a world in this game? Because I can't really think about what else there would be, but on the other side of my brain, it's like Elemental in the grand scheme of things is still pretty recent. It's like 2021. Like it came out around the same year that we got the announcement of Kingdom Hearts 4. That like it's not completely out of the realm of possibility, but that would be still surprising for me. And we got to see a little bit more of this whole like build mechanic that was shown off in this trailer or was like teased in the original reveal trailer. Because initially I thought it was a like, oh, we got reaction commands back, but which unfortunately that is not the case as of yet. Please still dream with me that we're going to get the reaction commands back. But it seems like that there's some sort of like meter that you build similar ish to Kingdom Hearts 3 that allows you to do certain abilities. I hope it's not like a similar too similar to Kingdom Hearts 3 because I think that led to a lot of the kind of uh difficulty criticisms about the game being a little bit too easy, um a little less a little more repetitive that than what Kingdom Hearts games usually are. um but then there's other things that I saw where like Sora seems less floaty in this game and seems like a little bit more in line with how he was in Kingdom Hearts 2, which is super super cool to see, super great to see. But again, we only have so much to go off of. We see young Xehanort again, and it's like he's in the fit and holding the umbrella with based off the artwork that Nomura shared a year or two ago. So there's a lot, there's some stuff to chew on for sure, but there's still a lot of questions, a lot of questions. And I know, and like, going back to when we didn't get anything at SGF, I was like, after seeing how hard they went on Revelation, I was like, oh yeah, they shouldn't have shown Kingdom Hearts here. That's fine. Like, I'm cool with that. I understood it. But now with this re-reveal, it's just like, okay, like, I hope we hear something proper soon, something a bit more substantial soon. Whether that be D23 or Tokyo Game Show, like, give us something.
Yeah.
I hope we don't have to wait all the way to the Game Awards to see the next big Kingdom Hearts trailer.
Yep. I don't have anything to add to that. I mean, we knew this was going to be your game to talk about. I think the biggest thing for me is just I absolutely agree, especially from like kind of a more casual Kingdom Hearts fan point of view. I feel like we needed to show a world. Mostly just because I think the modern day Tokyo thing is like, it's cool that that's like a place you go to, but it also just kind of feels very drab and not. It doesn't bring the kind of energy that I'm expecting to see in like a Kingdom Hearts world and in Kingdom Hearts combat. And so I just really wish we saw like a world with this one. But that's the route they went.
I kind of agree with you to a certain extent, but I also think that this is supposed to be a softer reset on the series. Like, we're taking this into a little bit more of a realism direction when it comes to like Quadratum, and like this is seemingly going to be like a sort of like a hub world that you're going to revisit to several times. Like, I think the structure of the game is going to change a little bit from what we used to be known for.
I think that's fair, but also your best friends are a talking duck and a dog who goes, huh? Like, there's only so much more serious you can do with that one. That is a core paradigm of the franchise.
I don't know if I 100% agree with you. I don't know if I agree with you, but because also, we know that he's doing the whole like, hey, I'm going to do like the narrative elements I wanted to put into Versus 13 into Kingdom Hearts.
Sure.
And you can't stop me.
Yeah. No, and I think Kingdom Hearts is a series that can explore a multitude of tones. I just don't think it can rid itself of the sillier ones.
Oh, I don't think it's ridden itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely no. I don't think that's what it's doing at all. But no Yozora. We did not see any Yozora, which is interesting. No. So
we did see not Noctis. Was it meant to be Noctis?
No, that's Yozora. Yozora is not Noctis.
Right, but I'm just saying. I realize that. No, but I mean, like, who was in the trailer wearing the face mask? There was a dude in the face.
There's theories that he's an old character from Dark Road, but we don't know for certain yet. The only person that we know is Strelitzia, who is the girl with the orange hair, and then we know what we assume is Luxord, but like the real version of Luxord.
Right.
Yeah.
The real one.
Yep.
So yeah, Kingdom Hearts 4. I never would have thought it'd be here, but that was a huge surprise.
Not in that capacity. Absolutely not.
Yeah, wild. And then the closer, the thing that leaked earlier this year, and now we have official confirmation of, Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time remake. I think there definitely were some people who felt a little let down by this, not because it leaked. I mean, some are going to say that's why, but because of the fact that this was actually a very brief teaser, while also saying that the game is going to be this year.
Yeah. And I just kind of building upon that, like, I think the people that ultimately, like, outside of the whole, oh, this was a very RPG heavy, JRPG heavy direct.
Sure.
I think a big issue with this game was that there was a lot of games that were big stuff that was being shown, but like there was no gameplay. There was no like there was nothing of substance in a real way. And then when you get to the big end thing being Ocarina of Time remake, it's a little cinematic trailer or in-game engine trailer, and then there's no gameplay, and it's 2026, and you're probably releasing this game before November hits. You got 4 months, dog. Like,
yeah.
Where's the game? Like, show us the game.
Yeah, which I mean implies that maybe there's an additional direct or a focused presentation or something, because it's like they're not going to just like drop that without any other trailers, right? Like they're not going to just like drop this with no gameplay. So yeah, it's just a very interesting question of like, when are we going to actually see more of this? I will say, like, the snippet we see, like, look, there absolutely is a little bit of an emotional swell of like, if they're actually doing this, okay, like, let's go. I don't know if the image we see is the best first impression. I've seen some people think it looks great. I've seen some people be like, why Link look like that? I think it's just like, I feel like it's such a small snippet, it doesn't really tell us enough. Like, I think the moment we see another clip of gameplay, that's going to really be the thing that actually cements opinions. But
I don't know. I don't know why people are surprised that young Link is young.
I didn't really see that as a complaint. I thought it was more that he just looks kind of weird. He has like N64 body proportions, but also more realistic skin and face textures.
Did we really get that good of a look at him like that, though?
Yeah, you get it pretty good. I mean, like, you know, the first time you see it, maybe it's a bit of a faraway shot, but it zooms in a decent bit enough. And again, I do think it's not a great full image. I think it's people fixating on the one thing they can work with right now, and I don't think it's a great representative of like how the whole game is going to look the whole way.
Oh, of course, definitely.
But like, I get it. I kind of had a similar reaction where I was like, yeah, he looks kind of weird. I don't know. I personally had that reaction as well.
Yeah, I mean, looking at him just based off this photo I'm seeing right now, like, I don't know. That looks like Link to me. That looks like a little young Link to me. And I can understand from a certain extent that it looks weird because you're really only getting like half of his face.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. I think he looks perfectly okay.
Yeah. Cool. It's happening. We just don't really know how more other than it's this year, and it's a remake of, you know, one of their most important releases historically. So we'll see what that actually looks like someday, I guess, this year.
Yep. I really wish I could play this game. That's all I can say about that.
Yeah, the skill tools are just a bit too much.
Nope, absolutely not. Could not do that. So
well, yeah,
we did it.
That's everything. It only took almost 3 hours.
Yep.
Oops.
We knew we were in it for the long haul on this one.
I foolishly believed we would maybe do a little shorter just because we got through Xbox as fast as we did, and then nah, man, that direct was stacked. We had things to talk about. The direct was
stacked, baby.
Yep. Yeah. All in all, I just want to say, I feel like this is one of the better overall like weeks of reveals. I don't think any of those like showcases were particularly weak or bad in any way. Like, everyone had great stuff. There was good variety, some big reveals at each of them. Good week for games.
Yeah, I mean, SGF, arguably the best showcase they've ever done.
Yes.
Like genuinely maybe the best they've ever done.
No, strong opener, strong closer, not a lot of dead weight in the middle relatively to like what they usually do. Again,
and even the gacha game stuff was cool because of the collaborations,
right?
So it's just like, yeah, so I was like, this is cool. Like, I don't feel like that this is killing time. and Xbox, like, it wasn't amazing, but it did the thing that it needed to do. It showed off the first party stuff. We got the good partner stuff with Persona 4 and Persona 6. Like, it was a very strong showcase. It wasn't, I don't think it was their best ever, but it was very strong. Nintendo, again, dealer's choice depending on your taste in games. But like, even then, it's like, it was this direct where I saw several people talk about like, oh, this direct was just like ports of old games and then like updates on games we already know about. And I'm like,
That's every
that has
direct.
been every Switch 2 direct since we've gotten the Switch 2.
Yeah.
This is not a surprise. This is just how Switch 2 directs are gonna probably be for another year or two.
Yeah, the first 2 years guaranteed are going to be a lot of port updates because like it can run these games now.
Yeah, and why wouldn't developers put them on Switch 2? And
Yeah.
so yeah, again, like I understand some of the presentation stuff, like in the sense of like, oh, you're showing me this game but you're not showing me this game.
Yeah.
What is, you know, and you should be, based off of the information you have told us. That's different. But even then, again, I don't think it hurts like in a major way for me. Like, the only one that was kind of mind-boggling to me was Zelda. Like,
Yeah.
Zelda was like, a yo, why aren't you showing us gameplay? Why aren't you showing us like a decent chunk? I'm not saying that we need like a God of War Lao Fei level thing,
uncut,
or even what Final Fantasy VII did with Revelation, but like, give us something more than what we got. And then everything else, like, to me, was really solid. You know, and so I think it's one of the better directs. I don't think it's the best direct ever, but I think it's definitely one of the better ones.
Yeah, I think where I get a headache with some of the people who are like really dogging on this one, it's not even like, look, I get it if it's not for you. That's fine. I've had directs that aren't for me. But it's when it's taken to the level of like, oh, this was like a bad direct because, you know, the stuff I was hoping for didn't show up. It's like, do we not recognize that like a Kingdom Hearts 4 re-reveal is kind of a big deal? The next Xenoblade game reveal is kind of a big deal. Like, I'm more excited because I'm into that, but it's like I have directs where I'm not into it, but I get it. I understand why like that is a big reveal. Like, that is a thing that's cool. And so that's what I think like gave me the most like mental stun damage today on this one. It's just like, y'all, I get if you're not into it, but like there's some big stuff here. Like, what do you mean we got Ocarina of Time? Admittedly, again, not the best way to reveal it, I agree, but Ocarina of Time confirmed, Xenoblade Genesis, and Kingdom Hearts 4 re-reveal all in one showcase. Any of those could have been a closer. And they were all in one show.
Yep.
Like, just, what are we doing? What are we doing? Anyways, I have one last thing I want to talk to you about, because I forgot to during Final Fantasy. How we feel about Revelation. The name.
I genuinely think... I wouldn't say that was something in the back of my mind, but if you would have said like, oh, like, give me your top 4 like R letter subtitles for this game, I think Revelation would have been one of them. It would have been like Requiem, Return, and then probably Revelation after that. So like, seeing that, it's just like, you know, when I saw it, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And so like, cool. Like, I honestly wasn't a big fan of Rebirth. And so, and like, I do think it also kind of changes the trend of it being a version of like remake. Revelation is not a remake of something. It is a conclusion.
Yeah, well,
which I get it, but
it kind of is, though. It's like it's a new understanding of something, right? Like, when you have a revelation about something, it's that you are now looking at it differently than you did before.
Sure.
Because your understanding of it is now fundamentally changed.
Yeah. That being said, I do think it was a mistake to not make the logo all red.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have a
I
strong take on that. I
yeah.
know you were hoping for that.
Well, because like they tease it in the rebirth logo. It's like, oh, it's turning red because the meteor's coming, and then let's
Yeah.
make the last one all red, and because the meteor's here, they didn't do that. So
Yeah. Damn.
yeah, missed opportunity in my opinion.
So it goes.
Last thing I'll say before we wrap things up here is go vote. If you're in the U.S., it's election time, and I voted today in my state and local elections. And if you are a U.S. citizen listening to this podcast and you live in the U.S. or abroad where you have the ability to vote, go do it.
Yep.
So, use
Your
your
mileage
voice.
may vary by state because it's done over here. But yeah, like where you
Yeah,
can.
it
do
depends. Yeah, it depends on what state you're in right now. But there's still many. There's still more to come, and so go do that because I did that today. And you gotta speak your voice. So,
Yeah.
Kevin, do you have anything else for the people before we dip out?
No, man, only that I'm afraid for how much more work we need to do in the next 24 hours.
Yeah. Okay, everybody, you can follow me on socials at Camp Final Mix. You can follow Kevin on socials at Kevin Kenson. Thank you, everybody, for listening to this week's episode. And until next time, we'll catch you later.
Later.